We'll be taking a look now at the two coaches' interviews. We talked with the coaches of tonight's two teams, Spokane and the Tri-City Americans. Let's roll that interview right now. Marshall, Tiffany.
Coach Kozuback, it's finally down to the final game of the preseason. 72 preseason games. Playoffs start up on Saturday, but you got to get by a tough Spokane club that is fourth place and has made the Western Division playoffs.
And they've played really well lately, and I think they're making every attempt to be a contender in the playoffs. They know that they've got a heck of a task ahead of them going into Kamloops and playing against a team that has really been the premier team in all of Canada this year. So I think they look at this game as being that one more shot in the arm, a little bit of a confidence builder, a little bit of a morale booster going into that big series with Kamloops. So we have to expect that they're going to give us everything they have. They haven't won in our building this year, and I think they would like to definitely go out of the season knowing that they have come into the Tri-Cities and at least been able to take a game away from us. So we have to be ready, and I hope we are. I hope we're getting prepared to play the playoffs, and I hope we don't sit back and watch.
Coach, the injury report, it's not pretty. Of course, Brian Sakic, he'll be out for a while. Really don't know when the return is. It says 5 to 6 weeks, but again, that all depends on Brian. We know that Donnie Blishen has the hurt leg. How ready are we going into the Seattle series?
Well, I mean, I think at this point of the season, after you've gone through the number of games that we've gone through, we're probably as ready as any team. I'm sure every team has their bumps and bruises and cuts and minor injuries. I don't know if anybody's got a major injury the way we have with Brian, but other than his injury, I think we're about as good as any team can be. I think our guys have got the little aches and pains that they've had all year, so it's not an unusual feeling for them to be in. We really feel that we're going to, without the services of Brian Sakic, we really are going to be hurt in a number of key areas. He's a great 5-on-5 player because he adds so much to his teammates, sets so many people up offensively, and on the power play probably is our key performer. So without him, we know we're going to be hurting. We just know that we've got to get some other people coming through in the next 8 or 9 games and playing the best hockey that they can play.
Of course, Seattle is playing outstanding hockey as well. Should match up to be a very good series starting up there on Saturday. Again tonight, the Spokane Chiefs come into the Coliseum. They have never won here, period. That includes last year. They're 0-9-2 in their last 11 visits here. This is a team that really would like to come out of here and really start charging towards Kamloops. They have won. They beat Seattle on Sunday night or Saturday night at last, and then Victoria twice this week. So they are currently on a 3-game winning streak, and they would really like to pick up 2 points or at least a tie out of this building tonight.
Well, I'm sure, as we said earlier, I think they're keying up for the playoffs. And I think every game that you play in preparation is important because you learn to do some things. Maybe you experiment a little bit, you try some different people in different spots, and you try to motivate and mold a game plan going into the last part of the season. So I'm sure that's their attempt. And definitely, I think if there's another attempt that they have in mind, it's to plant some seeds for next year, knowing that the new guys that they will have on board, plus the returning players, have a feeling of confidence playing in the Tri-Cities Coliseum. So I know that it's important for them to have a good game tonight, and I think they desperately like to win their last game that they play against us.
Are you going to try to get as many first-year players out on the ice, get as much ice time for them as possible?
Yeah, we're going to try to play everybody. Our intent at this point is to split our goaltenders, have Ole play half a game and Donnie play the other half. Jeff Fancy is playing. Devin Derksen's not going to play tonight, so our 6th defenseman include Jeff. So he'll play a lot, and we want to make sure that Jason Bowen and Brad Loring get as much ice time as we can get them, and try to really be as fair as we can. And because when it comes down to the playoffs, we're not sure how much everybody can play. It's a matter of who's playing the best, who can fill the role that we need played at that particular time, and who's giving us the best in the way of output.
Tri-City Americans head coach Rick Kozuback. Our pregame show continues right after this. Brian Maxwell, head coach of the Spokane Chiefs, now joins us in the pregame show. And Coach, coming to the Tri-Cities Coliseum tonight with a crowd that is going to be doing a little bit of waving of the yellow cards. A lot of people are going to be wearing white, a very enthusiastic crowd. It's also the final game of the season for both clubs.
Well, it's been a very quick year for our hockey club. It's been a great year for us. We feel as a team we certainly have improved from the start of the season, and we certainly are ready for Kamloops sliding into there after tonight's game, and we certainly have to take care of tonight first, but we are looking forward to Kamloops.
You've had some great production this year with some key players. Of course, Patty Falloon, you've had in there Mark Woolf, who you got with the trade, Travis Green back in January that also brought over Lafreniere, who seems to be a very good defensive man that you could look for in the future. Isn't that probably one of the reasons you got him over here?
Well, I think the reason we got him was we've had big-time injuries on our blue line with Evans, and Harper's been hurt, and Klemm's been hurt, and Dumas has been hurt, and constantly the weakness that we have had has been our defense. And without Lafreniere as part of the deal, Evans was gone for a month, and Tavel's been gone for a good month and a half, and it was something that definitely is the biggest part of the deal for us. Chris has played very well for us and stood in and been a big part of our defense, and we're very pleased with the way he's played.
Back in your hockey career, you also played back at the blue line, and one of the big traditions that you at Spokane bucked this year was by naming John Klemm as your WHL Player Representative of the Year. That went against the tradition. Mostly the forwards end up getting that. Why John Klemm?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I think the first 3 weeks of the season we were looking to move Klemmer. He hadn't played very well, and thank God we didn't move him. He has been definitely the stability of our hockey club back on the blue line, and night in and night out he has been a big part of our hockey club, as Patty has, as Whit has, and Greenie was, and Wolfie has been. But Klemmer has not been drafted. Certainly is a sleeper. I think in this year's draft has played absolutely fantastic for a hockey club night in and night out since the end of October, and he deserved it. He has been solidifying our defense and the goals against.
Coming in tonight against the Tri-City Americans, never won here. 0-9-2 the Spokane Chiefs are in the history that the Americans have been in the Tri-City area. How can you come back into the night, last game of the season, and at least make the game competitive and go on and try to pick up the 2 points?
Well, we have not played very well here all season long. There's no question about that. And we feel we've won 4 in the last 4 games, and we want to come in here and make this as a stepping stone to move into Kamloops. And we've adjusted a lot of things defensively, and which we feel hopefully will work against Kamloops, and for sure hope against work against the Tri-Cities. And we will find out how far we progress tonight.
All right. Spokane Chief Coach Brian Maxwell. Our pregame show continues right after this.
Now with a look around the Western Hockey League, here's Tony Ott.
All right, thank you, Kirk. And here's what's going on in the Western Hockey League. This being the final game of the regular season in the WHL. There are 3 other games on tap tonight other than the Spokane American game going on here at the Coliseum. Regina is at Brandon, probably the biggest key game in the Western Hockey League tonight, as both those teams try to find out who is going to mix and match in that Eastern Division come playoff time. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Brandon still has a chance to make it into the playoffs.
Very big. They have a very big chance of making it in. If they win tonight, if they beat Regina, that will set up a tie between Swift Current and Brandon. In the way the league goes for that final playoff position, there must be a playoff. That means that the playoff will be in Swift Current tomorrow. That's only if Brandon beats Regina tonight. And the way that works out as well is that if Regina wins tonight, they will tie Prince Albert with 77 points for second place. However, the first tiebreaker is wins in the season, and that goes to Prince Albert. So the 2 top teams in the Eastern Division will automatically earn the bye. That means number 3 plays 6th and 4 plays 5 in the best-of-5 series. So it's all going to hinge on what performance goes on tonight in the Eastern Division. The other game going on tonight is Lethbridge at Medicine Hat, and Seattle finishes up their season tonight in Portland. Very big game there, Kirk, because they're down in Portland. Seattle and Portland played the other night in Seattle. There was 179 minutes of penalties called in that contest. Lots of fighting, and these 2 teams do not like each other, period. End of discussion. So what can happen tonight is, and what you don't want to see happen to any of these teams right now, is injuries. And injuries are a big key right now, and especially on the Tri-City Americans. Of course, Brian Sakic is out 5 to 6 weeks. That's a big hurt for the Americans, and you don't want to see anybody else hurt or injured. However, wouldn't mind taking a Seattle player out if you'd like to, Portland. We'd go with that as well. But as far as the rest of the Hockey League goes tonight, it's all over with. This is the final game. The Tri-City Americans fans tonight have gone with the whiteout, and of course all the cards here tonight with the big yellow wave, and that should be very interesting. This is going to be a very exciting hockey game tonight here, Kirk.
Last game of the regular season. That's our pregame show. We'll be back with the start of tonight's game in just a couple minutes.
Okay, Kirk, we're back here, and the hockey game tonight is going to be a very exciting one. The Spokane Chiefs and the Tri-City Americans as the referees take their place on the ice tonight, waiting for both teams to come out of the dressing room.
Well, Tri-City Americans making their appearance on the ice. Only Kolzig coming out to lead the Americans onto the ice, and we're ready for tonight's game. The referee is from White Rock, British Columbia, by the name of Rob Gordon. The linesmen are Tom Cowell from the Tri-Cities and Dwayne Veninger from Cranbrook, British Columbia. The Tri-City Americans and the Spokane Chiefs. Two teams that, would like to face each other in the playoff battle. The Americans finishing third in the Western Division. The Spokane Chiefs finishing fourth. This game really doesn't mean much unless they should both defeat their playoff opponents, Kamloops and Seattle, but that's not really very likely to happen. So
As far as the Kamloops and Spokane series, that is a very big series for both these clubs. And Spokane, believe it or not, has played Kamloops very, very tough in their final 6 games of the 10-game series that they had against them. Although the first 4 were absolute blowouts in favor of the Blazers. I'll tell you something, this is a Spokane team that's very hot, winners of their last 4 in a row, and they beat Seattle the other night. And the big key there was number 37, Jeff Ferguson, and he's in between the pipes tonight, and he can play hockey. Watch for him tonight. If he gets hot, the Americans are going to have a tough time putting the biscuit in the basket.
Here are the starting lineups for tonight's game. Starting in goal for the Americans, Olaf Kolzig. Defensively, Jeff Fancy and Scott Farrell. At centers will be Scott Levins. Right winger Kyle Reeves. Left winger is Greg Spenrad. For the Spokane Chiefs, starting in goal, Jeff Ferguson. John Klemm and Barry Dreger will start at the point. The centerman is Mark Woolf. Right winger Bobby House. Left winger is Brent Thurston. We'll be back with a face-off right after this.
The Vanishing Beauty.
And bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket racked the air, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our land was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and of the home of the brave.
Gordon calls them together for the first period face-off.
And Kirk, this first period faceoff is brought to us by Nevada Bob's Discount Golf. The Tri-City's widest selection of golf supplies, best selection, best prices, they're at Nevada Bob's. And now for the excitement of Tri-City Americans hockey, here's the voice, Kirk Williamson.
Thank you, Tony, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us once again on this Tri-City Americans hockey broadcast. It has been a delightful couple of years. We look forward to a good long playoff series, and then, of course, we look forward to next year's Goodwill games, or next summer's Goodwill games. Levins against Woolf on the face-off. Levy wins the draw. Reeves has it, controls it against the boards. He's knocked off by Thurston. Puck picked up by Woolf into the Tri-City zone. Loose puck comes off to Fancy. Fancy along the wall to Reeves. Loose puck right beside the net. Wolf shot, or check it, Thurston's shot. Save Kolzig. And the Americans will bring it out. Up the left wing boards to Spenrath. Spenrath followed by Reeves. Spenrath goes in. Reeves picks up the loose puck, throws it across the ice. Farrell and Wolf go in after it. It's fired down low beside the net right. Spenrath can't get a shot away. Loose puck, Levins tried to go to the backhand, couldn't get it done. Comes up along the left wing boards. Thurston with it. Cross ice pass to the right side. And it's picked up there back in the Tri-City zone by Scott Farrell. Farrell with the puck back behind his own net. Farrell will start to bring out up the right side, finds Jakes. Jakes is knocked off the play there by Falloon. The balloon goes into the corner, but Jakes slides him in behind the net. Loose puck, left corner, picked up now by the Chiefs. Falloon back up front to Frank Evans. Knocked away by the Americans, picked up by Falloon, lost there to Reeves. Reeves, blue line, fires it left, picked up by Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs to Barnes. Barnes a drive, save Ferguson with a glove. Great save there by Jeff Ferguson.
Jeff Ferguson, knowing that Stewie Barnes just came off the bench on the line change, picked up the pass at center ice, was able to bring it, gain the blue line. Stu Barnes was at the top of the right circle if you're looking on from center ice. Puts the blade to the back of the puck, gets a nice slap shot underway about 1.5 feet off the ground. Jeff Ferguson comes out, cuts off the angle, gloves it up for the save. The face-off off to Ferguson's glove side or his left side, and that's where it will start out.
It'll be Mark Wolf and Stu Barnes on the face-off. Well, this game has been sold out for a while, but quite a few people not showing up tonight. Barnes and Wolf on the draw. Face-off won by the Chiefs. Back in behind the net, Spokane. Stepping up is Robert Dumas, former Seattle Thunderbird. Dumas, blue line, poke checked away. Thurston driving in left of the Tri-Cities net. Sherstenka goes in after it around behind the net. Dan Sherstenka out left to Nibbs. Nibbs losing it to Wolf, drives it back in behind the net. Loose puck picked up by Rennie. Rennie, headman pass left for Barnes. Barnes checked off the play by Evans, and Barnes reaches back and mule kicks the puck back into the Spokane zone. Chiefs have it. Wolf trying to break out, finds Dumas up the right wing. Dumas with the puck, feathers it into the Tri-City zone. Goes around behind the net, back up to the blue line left. Kept in by Lafreniere. Wolf is shot right onto the stick of Jakes. Whoop, Jakes threw it away right to Thurston. Thurston left side, scores! Spokane, Brent Thurston on the goal on the scoreboard first as he pops it underneath Ole Kolzig. 2:04 the time of the goal.
It was just right out in front, a giveaway down in the zone as the Tri-City Americans give the puck up, and the goal will officially read Bobby House from Thurston as Thurston handed off to House right at the top of the circle, and all he did was size up the big hole between Ole Kolzig's legs and pop it right through the 5-hole. Spokane takes the lead 1-0 over the Americans.
Face-off won by the Americans. Lindsay takes it in. Lindsay off the right wing boards, fires it into the slot, but Degner is down. Loose puck picked up by the Chiefs. Now along the wall, Degner jumping in on Jickling, and they'll face it off in the Spokane zone. They'll bring it up to the top of the left circle in the Spokane zone.
Bobby House picks up number 18 on the season.
Faceoff will come right at the top of the left circle. It'll be Dwayne Benninger to drop the puck between Steve McNutt and Mike Jickling. Jickling wins the draw to Toporowski. Toporowski up the right wing boards to Rowland. Rowland backhands it into the Tri-City zone. Kolzig trying to get the offside. Jickling and Sandwith exchanging punches. The referee not watching, so Sandwith lays in a couple more on the top of Jickling's noggin. Out front, Toporowski drives it against Kolzig. Kolzig puts it off the wall. Sandwith behind the net, trying to leave it for McNutt. McNutt now has it. McNutt left circle. Jickling's on him, or Junker rather. Now to Sandwith behind the net. Chrun brings it up. Chrun Sandwith fires it up the middle. Lindsay in a foot race. It'll be played by Jeff Ferguson, and Ferguson will cover it up.
Billy Lindsay racing down the right side to try to connect on that lead pass, as it was a two-line pass if Billy Lindsay would have grabbed it, as the pass originated in the neutral ice area back behind the red line towards the American zone. Cannot pass two of the lines or you will have the face-off.
Face-off comes in the right circle in the Tri-City zone. Barnes and Whitney on the face-off. Barnes winning the draw. They kick it off the wall. Comes off to Nibs. Nibs to Barnes beside the net. Barnes tries to wrap Ferguson around. Can't do it. Barnes looking in from behind the net. Now the Chiefs send Dreger back there to kind of break that up. Barnes losing the puck to Klemm. Klemm along the wall. Out to the neutral zone. Sherstenka knocks it away, but it's picked right back up by the Chiefs. Spokane, Shayne Seeker driving it in beside the net right side. Seeker and House both had hat tricks last night against Victoria. Loose puck beside the net. Kolzig bangs it out front. John Klemm cuts it off, drives it down low to Falloon. Falloon beside the net right. Seeker shot right in front of the net as Jakes was able to steer it away. Now Rennie gets rid of it out into the neutral zone. Klemm will go back to get it. No icing the call. Klemm goes behind the net. Klemm steps up, goes to the right side. Falloon. Patty Falloon up to the neutral zone. Into the Tri-City zone now. Jakes behind the net, fighting with Shayne Seeker. Jakes and Seeker. Jakes gets it loose to Barnes. Barnes brings it up. Barnes with Rennie to the right. Bad pass from Barnes. Seeker point blank, stoned by Kolzig. And the loose puck fired out along the wall. Dumas keeping it in. Seeker and Jakes chase it into the corner. Rennie lines up Seeker. Jakes gets the puck. Jakes goes down, picked up by Falloon. Falloon with the puck. Back up front now. Shot by Evans. Hits a stick. Dribbles out to the right side. Driven right of the net by Whitney. Comes off to Rennie this time as Farrell puts Seeker upside down. And the puck's out into the neutral zone. Back for it, Dumas. Barnes all over him. Takes it away from him. Barnes breakaway. Barnes takes it in behind the net. Good job by Dumas to tie up Stewie Barnes. Barnes left circle. Looking into the slot. Under pressure. Loose puck. Picked up that time by the Chiefs. Dumas, we got a whistle. Roughing will be the call. Barnes and Frank Evans, one or both, will head for the penalty box. Barnes for sure.
I believe you're going to see both of them assess the 2-minute roughing penalty as both Frank Evans and Stu Barnes in the near corner are giving each other a face full of lumber and part of their mitts. And referee Rob Gordon there to watch the whole thing take place. He says, enough, boys. Let's go down into the pine box area, sit for a couple, think about it. It doesn't do anything as far as extra mans on both teams. Both teams will skate with 5 apiece.
Face-off left circle will be Chrun and Levins in the Spokane zone. Levins gets it to Spenrath, knocked away from him. Back out along the wall left. Fancy. Boop, bounced that one right off of Dwayne Benninger's nose. And back up along the wall. Back out to Fancy. He drives it in. It's knocked down there by Klemm. Klemm out to the neutral zone. Chrun goes right to Thudium. Calvin Thudium makes a move, gets the puck back, top of the slot, goes right, finds a man, shot, save Kolzig on Maitland at point blank range. Now it's fired down beside the net. Kolzig will let it go by. Now he'll drive it around to the right for Spenrath. Gets by Spenrath. Klemm has it. Drives it right into Levins. Levins picks it up, finds Reeves. Up the right wing, gets into Reeves' skates. Reeves turns, puts it on Dreger. Now the Americans will finally dig it loose. Levins takes it in, losing it there to John Klemm. Klemm right to Thudium. Thudium with the puck, drives it off the wall, but it's knocked away by the Americans again. Spenrath now in traffic, picked up by Thudium, 1-on-2. Thudium a drive, and that one goes way up into Section H and turns into a souvenir.
Well, this is the last contest for both these teams. Both teams have clinched positions in the playoffs. Spokane, of course, 4th, and the Tri-City Americans have clinched 3rd place and will take on Seattle this Saturday as well. Spokane jumps on the bus tonight and heads for the Loops, Kirk, and which should be a very good series. These two teams, Kamloops and Spokane, will match up very nicely because they've been playing against each other very tough the last few games of this series between these two clubs this regular season.
Spokane starting their playoff series with Kamloops on Friday up in Kamloops.
Right.
Face-off won by Mark Woolf. Rennie for the Americans now picks up the loose puck out into the neutral zone. Another one hits Benninger. They have a little trouble getting out of the way here. Rennie and Bowen drive it into the Spokane zone. Toporowski wheels it back into the Tri-City zone. Kolzig will knock down the rolling puck and give it to Fancy beside the net. Fancy bangs it back off the wall to Sandwith. Sandwith turns out to the right side to Loring. Loring with it, tried to play it off the wall to Rennie. Rennie keeping control of it. Now it's driven rink wide and picked up there by Virtue. Virtue goes in ahead of Bowen. Poke checked away. Chiefs turn, but it's one on everybody, and down goes Brent Thurston. Well, you could give that to just about anybody. I think they're going to give it to Bowen.
Bowen or Rennie will be assessed, and it looks as if Jason Bowen will get assessed the penalty as Brent Thurston did a terrific Oscar winning performance as he got hooked and center ice was brought down. It's not that he didn't try to go down either, you know. I mean, it's not that he didn't try to stop that one.
No, he had the opportunity.
That's right.
One must not miss the opportunity.
Well, what it did was put Spokane on the power play, their first one of the evening. And the Tri-City Americans penalty killing unit out on the ice to try to stop the rush of Spokane.
Face-off won by the Chiefs. Spokane goes left to Barry Dreger. Dreger to Falloon. Loose puck picked up by Jakes. Jakes on his feet, but Klemm will go back to get the loose puck for the Chiefs. The Americans reset the penalty killing team. Klemm to the right. Rennie and Nibs up front. Junker almost losing it to Nibs. Gets it back to Klemm instead. John Klemm into the Tri-City zone. Kolzig will stop it. Fired out along the wall to Nibs. Nibs being worked over by Whitney as they go into the corner. Now they get it low to Jakes. Back to Nibs. Out to the right point. Klemm goes rink wide left. Dreger. Dreger a weak shot. Save Kolzig and he corrals the loose puck. No, it's still loose. Shot scored. I think Steve Junker.
We'll get an
I
official.
guess wrong again.
We'll get an official on it, but you may be right on that one.
Power play goal for the Chiefs comes at the 6:57 mark.
Waiting for the official result to come back on it as the Tri-City Americans penalty killing unit unable to clear the puck or get it back to Ole Kolzig in front of the goal crease. 3 or 4 Spokane Chief players there hacking at it as the Tri-City Americans penalty killing unit unable to put any kind of wood to it or move it out of the way. Spokane Chief was able to put the stick behind it and pop it back into the net. Spokane has really hushed this crowd up. They now take a lead 2-0. And Ray Whitney will get the backhander in between the legs of Olaf Kolzig.
A power play at 6:57.
Now Lindsay and McNutt having a little chat with Jickling and Junker. Lindsay goes to the bench. Now he comes back out. Scott Farrell, wearing the assistant captain's A, will have a brief word with the referee. I'm not sure exactly what's on Farrell's mind here.
It's hard to say exactly what's going on with it. I know that.
Well, they're not letting Bowen out of the penalty box. Bowen goes back in the box. It was a power play goal, but Bowen will. Oh, Kolzig a penalty. Kolzig gets a 10-minute misconduct, and Bowen will serve the penalty. Kolzig will stay between the pipes as the goalie does not serve his own penalties. Puck shot up the middle to Degner, breakaway to McNutt. McNutt breakaway, shoots, scores! McNutt. And the Americans are on the scoreboard just like that at the 7:26 mark.
Steve McNutt taking the pass from Terry Dreger at center ice. He goes in all by himself on Jeff Ferguson. He goes to the left-hand side and pops it up into the corner. It rings and touches all the pipes, pops on out of there, but it lights the lamp anyway. The Americans cut the Spokane Chief lead in half and now trail it by 1. It's Spokane 2, Tri-Cities 1.
Assist number 19, Terry Degner, and number 6, Scott Farrell. At 7:26.
A timeout called by the Americans. We'll take a brief timeout with Spokane leading 2-1. On the score, Spokane leading. Americans with the puck back in the Spokane zone. Chiefs take it right back. Dumas with it, comes up the middle. Dumas across the red line, goes left, finds his man, that's Junker. Drop back pass, Junker almost put it out of play again. Junker with it, goes right to Dumas. Spokane not on a power play, my error. Back up to Rowland. Rowland in the slot, shot Junker. Hits Wood, goes to the right side, Virtue goes in after it, leaves it for Levins. Behind the net, Levins under pressure, loose puck right beside the net. That was a little bit pathetic, and they give it away right beside Kolzig, who finally dives out on top of it. This is about the time where Kolzig goes out and takes about 3 guys and cracks their helmets together to see if they're all in there.
That's exactly right. Ole Kolzig not getting the type of help he deserves down there, as the guys are having a heck of a time clearing the puck out of the crease area.
He's not getting the kind of help I deserve down there.
Ole Kolzig is he'll get verbal down there, trust me.
Face-off will come to Kolzig's right-hand side. Your left as you look on from center ice. It'll be Steve McNutt and Mark Woolf, former Medicine Hat Tiger. Woolf played for Brian Maxwell in the Hat before Brian went to Los Angeles to co-coach the Kings. Puck hit off a high stick, otherwise Thurston's on the doorstep with a loose puck right on Kolzig's doorstep, but this time it was played off a high stick. It'll come back outside the blue line.
Part of the penalty of playing it off a Spokane Chiefs high stick is that it comes back outside the American zone for the face-off, just outside to the near side if you're looking on from center ice.
Mark Woolf and Steve McNutt face off. McNutt centering the, well, part of the manufacturing company line. Terry Dreger has replaced Brian Sakic on the left wing. Lindsay, the right winger, on that line. Lindsay with the puck. Cross ice left. Goes to Dreger. Dreger leaves it for Jakes. Jakes breakaway shot. Save. Ferguson rebound. Got jumped over Dreger's stick. Picked up by Thurston. Backhands it into the neutral zone. Sherstenka outruns House for it. Bangs it off the wall. Picked up by McNutt. McNutt wheels. Steve McNutt, last year's Rookie of the Year for the Tri-City Americans, brings the puck up the middle. McNutt goes to the left, steps in ahead of Egner. McNutt wheels around behind the net, throws it up front. Had Lindsay on the doorstep, but Billy couldn't get to the puck. Now Woolf outruns Jakes for the puck, throws it cross ice right. Egner breaks it up, picked up by McNutt. McNutt for Lindsay. Lindsay, oh, a nice poke check by Ferguson. And a penalty coming as Ferguson went out, poke checked the puck away, and we have a slashing call made by referee Rod Gordon at the 8:52 mark.
Nice play by Jeff Ferguson to get out there and read that puck as it came across. As Billy Lindsay was racing down on the right side, he was able to get the stick out and poke it away, but a slashing call has been called against the Spokane Chiefs. Power play for the Tri-City Americans. They're pushing it at about 34.5% on the season. This will give the Americans a chance to tie this game up. Spokane 2, the Americans 1.
First power play of the night for the Americans. Reeves at center with Nibs to the right wing, Spenrath left, Barnes and Jakes at the point. Against Whitney on the face-off. One by Reeves. Picked up by Jakes. Back to Reeves. In the point. Picked up now by Nibs. He drives it across ice left. Out along the wall. Barnes losing it to Falloon. Shot back to Kolzig, and Jakes will play it. Kolzig plays it ahead to Jakes. Whoop, Jakes having a lot of trouble finding the handle. Now he handcuffs Nibs with it. And Whitney picks up the loose puck. Nibs trying to tie up Whitney. Whitney with it. He'll come back outside his own blue line. Back to John Klemm. Minute and a half to go in the power play. To Dreger. Dreger through the middle of Whitney. Loose puck picked up by Reeves. Reeves shot. Hit the post. Went around behind the net. Comes off to Nibs. Nibs finding Barnes. Barnes trying to shoot it through the middle to Reeves. He has to go get it off the wall. Back to Klemm. Klemm in the corner. Left of the net. Klemm back out into the neutral zone as he finds a lane and gets rid of it. Back behind Kolzig. Back in behind the net now. Steve Jakes. Jakes will start the breakout. 1:06 to go on the power play. Jakes right straight up the middle. Taking his time, goes left to Barnes. Barnes, left circle. Fires it into the slot. Loose puck. Chiefs have it. And they drive it right back out again. Woolf in a foot race with Spenrath. Woolf, breakaway, shoots. Kolzig frustrated him, and he shot against the side of the net. Now we get a two-line pass call again as Reeves just was across the blue line. Or Reeves has a clean breakaway the other way.
Mark Woolf coming down for the Spokane Chiefs on a solid breakaway in on Ole Kolzig, trying to go for the shorthander. Now you're looking at two teams out here tonight, Kirk, that have the two best shorthanded goals for this season. Spokane Chiefs have 28 goals for on the shorthander this year. That's 2 away from tying the record. Right behind them, your Tri-City Americans. They have 27.
43 seconds left of the power play. Woolf and McNutt to take the draw. Virtue and Farrell at the points. Lindsay and Levins beside McNutt. Nutter wins the draw. Back to Farrell. Farrell drives it up into the middle. Comes down to Lindsay, but Chrun has it. Levins steps in, knocks it away. Chrun gets it back. drives it back into the Tri-City zone. Half a minute to go in the power play. Farrell will break out from behind his own net. Scott Farrell will leave it as Levins and McNutt clear through there. Now Farrell comes up the right wing. Farrell driving it in all the way around behind the net, comes off the wall to Lindsay. Lindsay back to Levins, but Dumas is there. Dumas and Levins fight for the puck, comes off to Woolf. McNutt gets it, drop pass for Virtue. Down low to Levins. Levins with 8 seconds left. Virtue shoots it down the slot. Ferguson grabs it and holds on for this great save by Jeff Ferguson.
Terry Virtue just winging the puck with the wrist shot, and it was high, trying to deflect it off bodies, sticks, anything he could find. Steve McNutt trying to put the stick out at about shoulder height. That was very, very close to playing it off a high stick. I would imagine that Rob Gordon, if that had gone into the net, may have raised the hand and disallowed that goal. That was pretty high up there to have the stick. So Jeff Ferguson comes up with a big save right there for the faceoff off to his stick side.
Want to thank the good people at Mr. Tux for allowing us the sartorial splendor tonight. If we're going to do it whiteout, Tony, we must do these things properly.
Got to do it right.
That's right. McNutt with Lindsay and Degner on the face-off, left circle. Those of you in our radio audience, Mr. Tux providing white dinner jackets for the occasion. Puck comes up the right wing, knocked down, picked up by McNutt, left of the net. Cross-ice pass, just deflected off Lindsay's stick. Klemm drives it back out, but Virtue's there to keep it back in play, back into the Spokane zone. Klemm with it, goes right to Lafreniere, back to Klemm. Power play's over. Up along the wall now. Tri-Cities 0 for 1. Chiefs in the middle. They drive it in right of the Tri-Cities net. Lafreniere offside. And they'll bring it back outside the blue line for the face-off.
In between the goal tonight for the Spokane Chief, Jeff Ferguson. He's in his 36th game. He's at 2,004 minutes played, 147 goals against. He's got a 4.40 goals against average and an 88.2 save percentage. He is 12, 19, and 3. And for the Tri-City Americans, Olaf Kolzig, 21, 17, and 3. He's been in 46 contests. He's got a 4.55 goals against average and a save percentage of 88.5%.
Chrun and Barnes on the faceoff, picked up by Farrell. Barnes wins the draw back into the Spokane zone. Down to our left, all the way around behind the net, comes clear back out to Fancy. Fancy for Farrell, back in his own zone, now to Fancy. Makes the pass cross ice, but right there is Evans to knock it down for the Chiefs. Losing it to Barnes. Barnes breaks in, shoots, save. Barnes loose puck, he'll wrap it around. Barnes in behind the net, tries to throw it out front. Now Barnes will take it out to the left corner, back up front to Fancy. Whoop, Fancy chopping at the loose puck, keeps it in play though. Thudium jumped on him. Fancy with it in the slot. Chiefs drive it in. Now Rennie goes down. Chrun pulls it off the wall. You hear the consulting referees. Now Barnes being hooked, spun around. They get it to Rennie, back into the Spokane zone. Back out along the wall. Fancy goes after it, back into the Tri-City zone. No icing. And here comes Fancy up along the wall to Nibs. Nibs into the middle, Rennie. Rennie out to Barnes. Barnes with it, top of the left circle. Barnes' shot. John Klemm will remember that one with his left ankle. Jakes' shot, redirected by Barnes, won't go. Into the corner, Nibs, down low to Barnes. Barnes worked over by Dreger, but Barnes now behind the net, turns around, throws it across the slot, out to Jake. Jake's a slap shot, out of play as it hits Whitney's stick and goes up into Section T.
Spokane Chiefs have never won here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum, going 0-9-2 in the last couple of seasons. The Tri-City Americans would like to make that 0-10-2. The Americans do hold the advantage in the season series, going 6-4-1 in the best of 12 series. These two teams could face each other down the road for the WHL Western Division Finals. However, the Spokane Chiefs must get by Kamloops, and the Americans must get by Seattle.
Face off top of the right circle in the Spokane zone. Levins and Mark Woolf. Levins draws it back out into the neutral zone. Sherstenka goes after it. The Americans will have to break in. Sherstenka to the left side, feathers it off the wall. Toporowski's back there. He drives it ahead to Woolf, back into the Tri-City zone. Kolzig will leave it for Jakes. Jakes behind the net. Thurston back to look him over. Jakes comes out, drives it right straight up the middle. Foot races on, no icing. Ferguson will... And there's a Spokane player down on the ice, Brent Thurston, who was really clobbered. It's going to take a second for Thurston to regain his faculties now. The young guy stands up, but he is obviously pretty wobbly as he heads toward the bench. With the Chiefs leading 2-1, we'll take a brief timeout. Back at the Tri-Cities Coliseum, Kirk Williamson, Tony on, face-off right circle. In the Spokane zone, Chiefs with it, stolen away by Levins. Levins works it down low, behind the net to Reeves. Reeves in pressure. Rebound, shot, save, scored! He shot it over Ferguson's glove. Kyle Reeves and the Americans are tied with the Chiefs.
Number 17, Kyle Reeves, he breaks a 4-game scoring drought as he has not been able to put the biscuit in the basket and light the lamp back there for a few games. That's kind of unusual for number 17 as Kyle Reeves just connects as he was able to take the shot right out in front of the slot area, wrist it up. It bounces off the mitt of Jeff Ferguson. Kyle Reeves gets number 66 on the year and pulls the Americans to the tie. It is now the Americans 2, Spokane 2.
Faceoff comes in the neutral zone. Reeves.
The Americans' second goal. Scored by number 17, Kyle Reeves. His 66th goal of the year. The assist to number 27, Greg Spenrad. And number 16, John Levins.
Puck shot into the Spokane zone, and we get the icing call as Klemm goes back for it. So with the icing call, tied at 2, we'll be back right after this. Tri-Cities Coliseum, face-off won by the Chiefs. Shot saved, Kolzig, loose puck beside the net. But Virtue works his man in behind the net, took Thudium back there. And Thudium was unable to get a shot away. Now the puck flies out of play. Chrun and Lindsay banging away over along the wall in front of Section C. Thought maybe we were going to have a little go over there, Tony.
You know, Kyle Reeves, Kirk, he's had 68 or 66 goals, and he's so tan. Have you seen his tan lately?
Yeah.
And the reason he says he's so tan is because from the bright red illumination that the goal light gives him behind the net. He says it's been glowing quite regularly this season and doesn't mind sharing the sunburn, referring to the backs of goaltenders' necks.
Somebody pointed out that that's the same color as fertile dirt, but I'm not going to say anything like that. Wolf and Barnes face off left circle, Tri-City zone. Shot taken beside the net. Kolzig waves that as it goes by, comes off to Nibs. Nibs up along the wall. They got the bright yellow wave going now here in the Coliseum. Puck back out to Fancy. Fancy dropping it back to Farrell. Farrell ahead to Barnes. Barnes with it under pressure. Poked away from him by Mike Chrun. Chrun takes a punch at Barnes. Now Farrell finds Barnes along the wall. Barnes with it. Barnes in traffic. Barnes just being hacked by Chrun. Puck goes around to the left side. Rennie pulls it off the wall. Rennie whipping it down low to Barnes. Barnes throwing it out front. Farrell shot. Beside the net, loose puck. Ferguson pokes it away. That one just missed. Rebound came out. Now Fancy strips it away from Chrun. Fancy takes it in. Toporowski hit Barnes in the backside with that shot. Toporowski with his stick in between Fancy's knees. Now Barnes with it in the corner. Lafreniere out on Barnes. Barnes turns him left, right, upside down, inside out. Rennie's knocked down. No whistle. Rennie was taking Klemm out of the play. Back into the neutral zone. Back into the Tri-City zone. Chrun goes right. House shot, save, Kolzig. And Rennie will pick up the loose puck. Rennie will break it out for the Americans. Goes left to Nibs. Nibs, blue line. Nibs finds Barnes in the slot. Back to Nibs. Give and go. Back off the wall as Rowland breaks that up. Here come the Chiefs. 3-on-3. They bang it off the wall. Picked up there by Seeker. Seeker losing the puck. Goes around behind the net out to Nibs. Left, Sherstenka. Sherstenka shot. Save. Ferguson. Rebound. Levins. Carries it in. Levins. Under pressure. Loose puck in the slot. They dug it from clear out of the crease. Now Reeves shoots. Scored. Kyle Reeves. Well, I'll tell you what. If the Spokane Chiefs is screaming bloody murder about that, Tony, I can't say the blame.
No doubt about it. As number 16 for the Spokane Chiefs, Shayne Seeker is livid. He is just wanting a piece of Rob Gordon, the official tonight. And his reason is that Scott Levins was in the crease area, was on top of Ferguson as Kyle Reeves takes the puck and pops it into the net, which gives the Americans a 3-2 lead.
On the other hand, The reason Levins is in there is because he had a Spokane Chiefs defender wrapped all around him.
And that will be what the call is. Rob Gordon sees it just like that. Kyle Reeves, the second marker of this period, second marker of the game, and his 67th of the year. The Americans 3, Spokane 2.
And Reeves is now well over the 100-point mark, is he not?
He has 104 points on the year right now.
And we're ready for the face-off now. It'll be Levins to face off against Mike Jickling.
Goal! Scored by number 17, Kyle Reeves. His 67th goal of the year. The assist to number 27, Greg Spenrath.
Spenrath getting the assist on Reeves' goal. Puck goes into the Tri-City zone. Chiefs with it. They drop it low. Rowland goes into the corner with Jakes. Or check it, that's Jickling in with Jakes. Jakes upends him. Loose puck to Junker off the wall. Sherstenka tries to tie him up, can't. Out front, Dreger a drive. Kolzig makes the stick save and then bats it over the net. Well, that could have been trouble because it might have come down right in front of Ole the goalie. Off to Levins. Levins, rink wide pass for Sherstenka. Drops it in the middle for Reeves. Reeves and Levins going after it. Chiefs both check it away. Dreger fires it back. Sandwith will knock it down and bring it up the left wing board. Shift change, Tri-Cities. Reeves offside. Virtue. Kerry Virtue in way offside.
Kyle Reeves trying to time it out and get the pass in there. He hits Turan Sandwith with the front pass. Sandwith is okay, but right in there on the right side is Kerry Virtue, who put on the Jets and wanted to get in. And I believe Terry Virtue is telling Sandwith right now that go ahead and let that puck on in. I can take it on in. I had the step advantage right there. They'll bring it back outside the Spokane blue line for the faceoff.
We'll be doing a little bit of talking about minor hockey in the first intermission. Tony will be down on the Americans bench. We'll be introducing the Lamson All-Stars, the first Tri-Cities minor hockey team to win anything.
That's great.
Yep. They won a big tournament not long ago. Whitney and McNutt on the face-off. Nutter wins it back to Sandwith. Sandwith drives it in right to the net, hits the dashboard, kicks in behind the net. Degner goes back to have a look, but Klemm drives it out to Farrell, or to Falloon rather. To Sandwith, and he shoots it right to Falloon. Bing bang through the neutral zone. Now Lindsay takes it in from the right side. Lindsay tried to center for Degner. Degner tied up by Falloon. Puck comes off the wall to McNutt. McNutt wheels. Steve McNutt trying to steer the puck away. Has it taken away from him by Falloon. To Whitney. Whitney, blue line. Tied up by Virtue. Sandwith with the puck around behind the net. Nope, cuts off to the left side instead. Whitney with the puck. This time the Chiefs has it, and it does go behind the net. Virtue, backhand pass out to Degner. Degner losing it at the blue line to Rowland. Now the Chiefs have it right in front of the Americans' net. Stolen away by McNutt. Finds Lindsay. Lindsay to beat Dreger. Lindsay does. Shot. Save. Ferguson. They score. Cisse counted. He does, I think.
He says there's going to be a penalty is what he's going to say. And the Tri-City Americans are over there trying to yell and scream about it. The penalty may be against Spokane for bringing down Lindsay. However, if the puck did go in and lit the lamp, they may call this a goal. We'll wait for the official. It is a face-off. They say that the puck was frozen up. A holding penalty against, obviously it has to go against Spokane. Billy Lindsay racing down the right side, having Terry Degner on the inside on the right, the left side. Billy Lindsay trying to go to get to the forehand to try to pass it out. He was held and taken into the net.
Well, McNutt's going to argue that, although I don't think it's going to do him a lot of good, McNutt's going to argue that that should have been a shorthanded goal, or should have been a goal on the delayed penalty call.
That's exactly right, although it does not look like it is going to take place.
I don't think McNutt's as good a lawyer as I am. Maybe that's the problem. Dreger will go to the penalty box.
Number 15, Barry Dreger, 2 minutes for holding at 17:25. No goal. The puck crossed over the red line after the goalpost had already been dislodged. So no goal.
Well,
all right.
There was a similar situation down in Swift Current, wasn't there, Kirk, with Regina and Swift Current?
Wasn't that the night that Graham James got himself a $700 fine for throwing a chair at the referee.
I think that game's still under consideration, isn't it?
Maybe.
I'm not real sure.
That was the overtime game. Yeah, the disputed overtime game. You're right. No, Graham got his fine a long time earlier than that. Woolf and Nibs. Woolf wins the draw, but Spenrath gets off his shot. Save Ferguson. Puck comes back up to the neutral zone. Americans leading 3-2 over the Chiefs. Kolzig will leave it behind the net. 2.5 minutes to play. Power play, Tri-Cities, second of the night. Here comes Jakes, right straight up the middle. Goes left for Barnes. And the Chiefs knock it right back out again. Jakes with it. Jakes will turn and take it in himself. Jakes looking in from the hash mark. Finds Nibs breaking into the slot. Nibs will pick up the loose puck as Spenrath goes in hard. Out front to Jakes. Whoop. Off his skate. Jakes and Junker now back to Nibs. At the blue line. Gets it back to Jakes. Puck kicked loose by Woolf. Down goes Nibs. Woolf breakaway. Shoots. Save. Kolzig. And the puck is tied up behind the net, and we get a whistle.
Great save by Ole Kolzig, second one of the night as he stops Mark Woolf dead cold. Mark Woolf once again getting through on the Americans' power play, able to go down all by himself on Ole the goalie, takes it down on the left side, brings the puck back to his forehand, tries to dip it back on the backhand, but Ole Kolzig there to read it, cover it up with the big pad. Great save by Ole Kolzig. That's 2 now against Mark Woolf.
Well, it looks like the call was offside, and it will result in a face-off just outside the Tri-City blue line. Whitney and Reeves on the face-off. Reeves wins the draw to Sherstenka. He drives it ahead, but the Chiefs cut it off. Falloon 2-on-1 with Whitney. To Whitney, shot, save, Kolzig! And the loose puck comes right back to Reeves. Reeves takes it in. Reeves beats Lafreniere. Shoots, save, Ferguson. Loose puck, Barnes shoots, missed. Ferguson standing on his head, but that time Barnes just simply pulled the trigger and missed. Reeves a one-timer, drives it over the glass, comes back out front. Spenrath goes in with Lafreniere, puck into the corner. Spenrath digs through, finds Reeves. Reeves shot, save, loose puck. Reeves gets it back. Now comes out to Sherstenka. Danny goes to the right side to Rennie. Rennie at the blue line, goes left, Sherstenka. Left now to Barnes, top of the left circle. Barnes starts down, finds Reeves. Reeves takes a shot, save Ferguson, out to the neutral zone. Well, the Americans have had their share of chances there, Tony. Puck back into the Tri-City zone. Sherstenka along the wall to Spenrath. Spenrath through the middle, being worked over by Whitney, finds Rennie. Rennie breaks into Barnes. Barnes into the corner. Barnes sweeping it, leaving it in the corner. Back in for to Spenrath. Spenrath to Rennie beside the net. Rennie, Spenrath, shot, save. Ferguson, and we get a whistle with 36 seconds left.
Well, the Tri-City Americans have 1 second remaining on their second power play of the evening. Stewie Barnes getting some exercise with the jaw, and I believe Barnes is going to find himself sitting in the sin bin, and there he goes. And he is really airing out Rob Gordon. He had better watch himself.
I think that's going to be, well, there's a hold against Barnes and this could be ugly. Tri-City's power play is almost over. Barnes being escorted off the ice, and he's still got the mouth going like a Barnes-o-matic. Stewie heads for the dressing room. Not a happy camper.
No, he's not. He goes down into the dressing room right now, and
here's the call now.
Penalty to number 4, John Klemm, 2 minutes for holding. Tri-Cities penalty to number 14, Stu Barnes, 2 minutes for roughing, plus a 10-minute misconduct at 19:24.
Ouch. That takes Stu Barnes away for the first half of the second period.
Well, I don't think you find a whole lot of sympathy.
Well, Rob Gordon, he's the official. He's the guy that wears the orange around the arms. What he says goes. And these hockey players, they say a couple of things back, and he puts the hands on the hips and says, you're gone for 10.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest. Barnes didn't just squawk at him.
There was a lot of motion with the head.
I suspect Barnes is probably fairly descriptive. The young man has a pretty good vocabulary. Farrell drives it in behind the net. 29 seconds remaining. Fancy with it at the left point. Shot, save, Ferguson, loose puck. Lindsay jumps on it. Ferguson, no chance. And it's picked up by Falloon. Thurston breaks in behind Falloon, throws it into the slot, but it gets by Farrell. Falloon can't do anything with it. 10 seconds left. Now House from the left circle. House tries to fans it a shot as his stick was lifted up by McNutt. McNutt goes left to Degner. Degner, Lindsay. Lindsay was in ahead. 1 second. Time runs out on the period. The score at the end of the first period, the Tri-City Americans 3, Spokane Chiefs 2. We'll be back in 2 minutes at the Tri-Cities Coliseum.
All right, we're back here live once again at the Tri-Cities Coliseum. I'm Tony Ott. The Americans lead the Spokane Chiefs by a score of 3-2. Here's how things looked in that first period of play. Bob House gets everything rolling for the Spokane Chiefs at 2:04 that first period as he gets a helper for Brent Thurston. And Bob House goes down and just pops one in the net right through the 5-hole on Olaf Kolzig. Big opening there as Bob House takes the pass in from Thurston, a giveaway in the Tri-City zone, something the Tri-City Americans did quite a bit early in this contest. And Spokane turns around, takes advantage of it, pops it in the net. Spokane takes the lead 1-0. They make it a 2-0 lead as Ray Whitney connects from Junker and Falloon on the power play. A big scrum right in front of the net, lots of players spilling through the crease area, and they were able to take the puck, and it was loose right out in front off to Olaf Kolzig's stick side, and he was not able to get anywhere near it, and no help whatsoever by the Tri-City Americans to try to get it back to him. It squirts back out over onto the right side, and there was Whitney to backhand her home. 6:57 the time, power play goal, 2-0 Spokane. The next three markers, all Tri-Cities. Steve McNutt, he comes down, pretty play by the Tri-City Americans as Terry Degner comes down on the right side. Steve McNutt comes down on the left side. The beautiful passing play. It was a 2-on-1 rush. Steve McNutt gets the pass from Degner, and McNutt just goes right around Ferguson, pops it up, bing, 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 hits all the posts, goes around, lights the lamp, and the Americans are on the board. Another helper from Scott Farrell as he started the pass way down in the American zone. 7:26 the time. The Americans cut the lead in half, now trail 2-1. They tie it up 2-2 on Kyle Reeves' 66th marker of the year from Spinrath and Levins at 13:11. Kyle Reeves sitting right down in front of the net. He just muscles this one in past Jeff Ferguson, and it crawls past the red line and lights it up. We're tied up at 2 apiece. Then the Americans get their third marker of the evening, Kyle Reeves' second goal of the night, his 67th on the year. Spinrath's second point as well as he gets a helper involved in that. 15:32 the time as Kyle Reeves sitting down there in front of the net, and Scott Levins goes in and just gets barreled into Jeff Ferguson. Ferguson's down in the net, and you cannot get up from that position, especially when you've got a Scott Levins on top of you. Kyle Reeves takes the puck back out, shoots it right into a basically empty net. There was lots of complaining by the Chiefs, but Rob Gordon, the official tonight, says, no way, we're not going to listen to it. He was brought down by a Spokane Chief. That is what the call stood at. The Americans get their third marker. Reeves from Spinrath, 15:32 the time, and the Tri-City Americans take a 3-2 lead into the dressing room. We'll be back with more of this first period intermission right after this.
Back at the Tri-Cities Coliseum, I'm Kirk Williamson. Tony Ott's on his way down to the Tri-City Americans team box, and we'll be talking about minor hockey after a little bit when Tony gets down there. In the meantime, we have a feature piece that we'd like to show to you that, well, make you proud of the Tri-Cities. Bernie Pascal from BCTV was here some time ago in the Tri-Cities and shot quite a little bit of video and wound up with about a 3-minute package that was on BC Television, which is one of the major networks in British Columbia. The thing was seen all over BC. It focuses on the Tri-Cities Coliseum and the Tri-City Americans and hockey in the desert. After all, nobody would want to play ice hockey in the desert. Well, we'll see. Let's take a look at that piece now from BC TV. And those of you on radio, of course, we invite you to kind of enjoy the theater of the mind as we go to that piece from Bernie Pascal and BCTV.
This is hockey American style. The Tri-City Americans of the Western Hockey League, one of the most successful junior teams anywhere. Formerly the New Westminster Bruins franchise, Vancouver area businessman Ron Dixon invested some $12 million to build this magnificent 6,100-seat Tri-City Coliseum located about 350 kilometers southeast of Seattle.
Certainly Ron Dixon had some great foresight when he elected to come down into the Tri-City area with a team in the middle of the desert, and it's caught on like wildfire, and boy, the people are so enthused, Bernie, that it's just unbelievable, and it's a great, great spot for the players and everybody else.
As mentioned, the franchise boasts outstanding fan support. More than 5,500 fans hold season tickets. American shirts and souvenirs are also a popular commodity. This tremendous fan support could have been dismissed as a novelty after the team's first season, but the sellouts have continued.
We've got like 2,000, 3,000 people in our booster club alone, and I mean they're always at games, and we're sold out all the time, and we've got people, you know, hounding us for autographs and things like that, and you know, and the guys don't mind doing it because it's because of the support we're getting and because of the enthusiasm.
The Tri-City Coliseum is a first-class facility with comfortable seating, a posh founders club for dining. Americans games are a community event. Fans are offered a gourmet's delight, their choice of standard food fare plus specialty foods during the game. The players have excellent facilities, including a most impressive players lounge, the weight room offering all forms of conditioning tools, and to brush up on studies, the players have their own classroom and tutor in the arena. And the dressing room is big league all the way. The team, coached by Rick Kozuback, is comprised of young players 16 to 20 years of age, all with the dream of playing in the NHL, including defenseman Scott Farrell, a draft pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I went to Pittsburgh and had a pretty good camp with the Penguins there, and I have a knee injury right now, but I'll be back probably in a week or so and get ready for the playoffs. We're going to finish in third place and we'll be playing Seattle, and hopefully we'll beat them and have a good playoff.
We're putting a few good wins together here, and hopefully we can come on top and maybe close a little bit of gap on Seattle here.
Another player is the younger brother of Quebec Nordique star Joe Sakic.
Oh yeah, when I was growing up, you know, he was my biggest idol because I always watched him play, and you know, I learned a lot of stuff from him, especially my passing and skating like that. So he's helped me out a lot, and you know.
Many call it the miracle in the desert. The Tri-Cities of Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick, Washington, a roaring success story in junior hockey.
Pascal from BC TV with a report that aired on BC TV about 2 weeks ago about the Tri-City Americans and the miracle of ice hockey in the desert. We'll be going down to the arena floor, and Tony Ott in just 1 minute here at the Coliseum. The Americans lead the Spokane Chiefs 3-2. Back after this. Back at the Tri-Cities Coliseum now. I'm Kirk Williamson, and we're just about ready to get things underway for the second period of action as the Tri-City Americans head out onto the bench. Tony Ott will be rejoining us up in the broadcast booth momentarily. Of course, we have a big presentation to make at the end of tonight's game, and that's the presentation of the winner of the Ask the Coach contest that was sponsored by Ben Franklin Transit all year long. Good to have Ben Franklin Transit to be part of the team this year, as they helped with our Ask the Coach promotion. And tonight, at the beginning of the post-game show, we'll be announcing the winner of a pair of 1990-91 Tri-City Americans season tickets. We have a couple of Spokane Chiefs in the penalty box, along with Stu Barnes. In the penalty box for the Chiefs is John Klemm, and now there may be another penalty assessed here as referee Gordon goes over to the box and makes a quick announcement. We'll have it for you in just a second. This second period face-off brought to you by Butler's Big and Tall, fashion for men of dimension in Best Plaza in Kennewick. McNutt and Woolf on the face-off. Puck is dropped back into the Tri-City zone. It's picked up there by Sherstenka. Driven back into the neutral zone. Chiefs have it. Dumas off the wall. Tried to get it to McNutt. Back to Sherstenka in his own zone. Gets it by Thurston. Up along the wall. McNutt turns. Fires it right back into the Tri-City zone. Sherstenka will try again as the Americans will start the breakout. Now Sherstenka steps into the left circle. Brings it up the middle. Goes to the right side for Lindsay. Lindsay bouncing off the wall. Lindsay shoots! Save Ferguson just as Lindsay had Barry Dreger off balance, and they freeze the puck beside the net. Just underway in the second period here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum. Kirk Williamson along with Tony Ott.
Penalty that was not announced at the 15:32 mark of the first period to Spokane number 16, Shayne Seeker, a 10-minute misconduct at 15:32.
Okay, that's what all that was about. Seeker getting the 10-minute misconduct. That's why he's in the penalty box. And face-off will come in the left circle. There is no power play, though, underway here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum. Rennie, Nibbs, and Degner. Degner goes down, or Bowen, rather, goes down as he was chopped down right in front of Ferguson. Can't get their shot away, and Jeff Ferguson makes the save. Tony Ott back with us in the Tri-City American, or in the broadcast booth now. Big announcement, Tony, coming in the post-game show, the announcement of the winner of the Ben Franklin Transit Ask the Coach contest. I'm sure there are a lot of people that took part in that. Anxious to hear who that winner is when we announce it on live radio and cable simulcast tonight. Good to have you with us, folks, if you're watching on Cable 15 or listening to this broadcast on AM 1340 KTCR. Puck goes in beside the net. Jakes with it. Jakes in his own zone out to Bowen. Bowen has it chopped off his stick, goes after it, but the Chiefs keep it in play to Falloon. Back behind the net, Jakes. Jakes wheels it out to Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs off the wall. Tried to get it to Rennie, couldn't. Whitney with it. Lafreniere drives it back in left Falloon. Falloon, Chrun, they kick it around. Sherstenka will have it now. Brings it right up the middle, trying to get it to Rennie. It'll be icing when it gets into the Spokane zone. Lafreniere puts wood on it. Icing the call. 3-2. Americans will be back in 30 seconds. Face-off right circle, Tri-City zone. It'll be Scott Levins and Mike Jickling on the face-off. Now Levins gets the thumb, and Kyle Reeves will face off for the Tri-City Americans. Jickling wins the draw. Chiefs with it. Toporowski to Dreger. Dreger drives it back in beside the net. Kolzig will steer it around to Virtue. Virtue wheels, looks up ice, wires it through the middle. Goes in ahead of Spenrath. Spenrath and Toporowski in a foot race. Ferguson is there. He'll steer it around behind the net. Off the wall to Mike Junker, or Steve Junker rather, and he's tied up at the right hash mark. Now Reeves and Spenrath are in there for the Americans. A couple of Chiefs down on the ice, and they'll get everybody back on their feet, and we'll get things underway again. Here's the score for you. Brandon after two. Brandon leading Regina 3-1.
Whoa, I'll tell you that.
Brandon wins. They create a one-game playoff tomorrow night in Swift Current.
That's exactly right. Boy, that is going to be something. If Brandon comes back and wins that, I know that, well, there's former Tri-City Americans on Brandon, Moose Jaw, and Swift Current. And Moose Jaw is out of it. Swift Current and Brandon, the final two.
Face-off right circle in the Tri-City zone. Or in the Spokane zone, rather. Reeves and Mike Jickling take the draw. Now Jickling gets a quick stop. Well, now wait a minute. Now are they gonna let him take the draw or not?
He's been thumbed as well.
Face off. Shot taken by Virtue from the point. Caught easily by Ferguson. Levins was on the doorstep, but Ferguson had that one corralled all the way.
No doubt about it. Ferguson saw it, and the Spokane defense was able to move away. The big guys down in front for the Tri-City Americans. That creates a big lane, and even though the shot looked menacing, it was actually a fairly simple one for Jeff Ferguson to corral in, as he had a perfect vision all the way on Terry Virtue, taking the slap shot from the right point.
Little rumor I heard this afternoon around the Western Hockey League. This would be a good one. Story is that the Western Hockey League will probably grant tomorrow a new franchise for Tacoma. Face-off won by the Americans and taken to the right wing boards where Reeves is tied up. I can't tell you where I got that, but I can tell you that it's a good source. And that would be a 7th Western Division team.
And that will be what they've been trying to do for the last 2 years. That is equal up the division. Or actually, they want to bring one more in, actually, and make it an 8-team division in the West and an 8-team in the East.
Eugene is close. Back behind the net, Klemm. Klemm fires it out to Thudium. Whoop, got one going. That's Spenrath. And, Spenrath and Dumas. Dumas goes down. Spenrath lands a couple of good ones. Down goes Rowland. Spenrath lands a couple more good ones. Spenrath is not about to turn loose of Rob Dumas. The big guy is working. Now Ferguson comes out of the crease.
And Ferguson better watch himself. He better, if he came out of the crease, that's 2 minutes for Ferguson automatic. He did that against Seattle the other night I watched.
Yeah, he did. Didn't get called for it either.
And that's right.
Well, Greg Spenrath and Rob Dumas have a little rock'em sock'em robot down there beside the Spokane net. They'll clean up the ice, and we'll be back with the Americans leading 3-2 right after this. Oh, white out.
In upper management to the NHL.
Yep. Puck comes off the wall as the Americans win the draw. Back out into the neutral zone. Here come the Chiefs. Chrun, right side. Drop pass. Thudium overskated it. Picked up by McNutt. The Americans come back 3-on-2. Lindsay to the right side. Takes Lafreniere in. Drops it for Degner. Degner shot. Rebound. McNutt drives it behind the net. Lindsay, McNutt and Degner down low. McNutt hit there by Maitland, tied up along the wall. Loose puck picked up by Degner. Degner back to McNutt. McNutt, Degner in traffic. Lindsay along the wall. Loose puck, Maitland. Maitland goes around behind the net. Shayne Maitland in traffic. Drives it out off the wall and picked up by Farrell. Farrell in the neutral zone. Shoots it back into the Spokane end. Back behind the net now. John Klemm. Klemm will leave it. He'll start to bring it out. Drives it the length of the ice. That's pretty easy to call. Icing call there. As Jakes goes back behind the net for the touch. We get the icing call. 3-2 Americans back on this Cable 15 AM 1340 simulcast. Back at the Tri-Cities Coliseum, puck driven along the wall. Chiefs have it. House picks up, gets in traffic. Thudium has the puck, takes it across the blue line. Calvin Thudium offside as he stick handled the puck along the blue line and got caught offside.
Some other scores around the Western Hockey League for you. Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, they're all tied up at 2 apiece after 1 period. Same score in Portland as the Seattle Thunderbirds and the Portland Winterhawks, they're looking at 2 after 1.
Rennie and Woolf on the faceoff just outside the blue line. Puck drawn back to center ice. Evans drives it in to the Tri-City zone. Kolzig will leave it for Sandwith. Sandwith around behind the net. Dreger and Spenrath rather and Dumas each got 5 for fighting and nothing else. Spenrath or Sandwith driving it into the left corner. Racing after it is Evans, and the Chiefs whip it back out into the neutral zone. Sandwith goes back under pressure from Thudium. Sandwith turns. Thudium turns inside out. Puck's up to the neutral zone. Nibs losing his stick. Puck fired back in. Nibs caught offside. Nope, not offside. My mistake. Virtue with it. Drives it into the left corner. Left of the Spokane netminder. Ferguson driving it out to Falloon. Falloon over skates. They try to get it to Rennie. Chiefs with it. Out to John Klemm. Klemm turns. Klemm from Cranbrook. Another one of those great defensive players from Cranbrook. Virtue drives it back in. Puck picked up there by Dreger. Dreger out along the wall. We got a whistle as Reeves goes down, rather.
Delayed offside call right there as the Americans went down into the zone, and the official had his hand up. The guys did not see it and bring it back out, so what that means is they will bring it out for the draw just outside the Spokane Chiefs blue line.
Scotty Levins centering a line with Jason Bowen on the left wing and Kyle Reeves on the right. For the Chiefs, Ray Whitney No, Whitney comes off. Jickling comes on with Junker at the left wing, Rowland at the right. Jickling and Levins take the face off. Puck is down, goes to Junker. Junker tied up by Reeves. Jakes takes a whack at it, but Klemm has it. Klemm backhanding it to Junker off the wall. Junker and Jickling go in, a shot, hits a stick, and goes up into section UU.
Kirk, you know, we were talking about just a minute ago about the fact that in the Western Hockey League there will be some changes made, some personnel possibly shifting. Of course, now the rumor has it that the Tacoma team, area will receive a team as early as tomorrow. But also there is a possibility of losing some big personnel in this league. There may be some people heading over to Quebec as far as general manager position. Two names have been circulated quite a bit. Ed Chenault, the president of the league, and also Russ Farwell, GM at Seattle.
Interesting about that. Shot taken, save Kolzig. One important issue there that has been overlooked. As Lindsay picks up the puck, breaks in. Lindsay goes in, shoots, just missed. Lindsay lands all over Ferguson. Ferguson's tied up. Jakes with the puck, gets it into McNutt. McNutt left of the net. Tries to go down to Lindsay, into the corner. Lindsay. Boy, Lindsay had a great opportunity there. Rowland out into the neutral zone. Degner goes back for it. Plays it back along the wall. Sherstenka as Degner gets dumped. And in behind the net goes Jakes. Boy, that came back the other way. Up the right side, McNutt. McNutt under pressure from Falloon. Backhands it out into the neutral zone. Maitland has it. Whoop, left it for McNutt. McNutt and Degner break in. McNutt hauled down. Puck's loose behind the net. We get a whistle.
The net is off the mooring.
The net ain't all. McNutt's arguing he was hauled down.
Well, that's two now. Billy Lindsay came in down that left side, and he was yanked down, and he almost went head first into the top of the corner of the post there. And I'll tell you something, good thing for the bucket on his head, because that sure saved him a headache for a couple of days. Then this play right here, Steve McNutt, he does the same thing. He charges hard in on Jeff Ferguson down the left side. He's brought down. He goes into the post. He picks it up this time, and he scoots off behind it. Tell you what, it's going to take quite a bit to get a call here in the second period.
Let's have Al Patterson removed here. If you're not wearing formal wear, Patterson, you know, I mean, we try to maintain a little class up here. Oh, he's bringing his scores. Thanks, Al. 3-2 Americans leading the Spokane Chiefs. Quick shot down the slot, goes to the right side, Whitney. Thanks again to the good folks at Mr. Tux for taking care of us pretty well today. Back out to the neutral zone, coming back the other way. Levins with Reeves. Levins, Reeves scores! Oh, Reeves! And here come the Hats. There it is. Reeves from Levins getting the goal at the 5:37 mark.
And look at the Hats come down as Kyle Reeves picks up number 68 on the year. Kyle Reeves from a nice pass from Scott Levins. Scott Levins down in the right circle, throws it off to the left side. Kyle Reeves puts the stick underneath the puck, just chips it up back into the net past Ferguson. And the Tri-City Americans extend the lead down to 2. The Americans 4, the Spokane Chiefs 2.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Kyle's got himself a pretty good hat collection now.
I should say so. Kirk, that's
Those are
it.
classy hats.
We're in that one. We are in this collection.
That's right. Quarter 2, Americans leading the Spokane Chiefs. We'll be back in 1 minute at the Tri-Cities Coliseum. Back at the Tri-Cities Coliseum, they've already made an announcement about fans throwing stuff on the ice. Now, as you know, I have said a number of times, I think it's utterly and absolutely inappropriate to throw things on the ice, except when a player scores a hat trick.
Kirk, look at the net. They have taken the net off and they have pulled it around and used it as a big catcher, and that thing is completely full all the way to the bottom. There is a good couple hundred hats there. They're going to have to sort those things out. There's going to be some fighting in the American dressing room for those. But the goal, a natural hat trick. 3 in a row. Kyle Reeves, he is really hot tonight. Kyle Reeves snaps the 4-game goal-scoring streak. Actually, he did not score a goal in the last 4 games. Boy, he's come back big, hasn't he, tonight, Kirk?
Yeah, he certainly has.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you want to watch our power play, but please do not throw anything else on the ice or the Americans will be assessed a bench penalty. We ask you, please don't throw any other crap out on the ice.
Well, you got the word from Tom Lathan, who obviously got the word from referee Gordon. Well, I thought he was going to. I just don't think it's appropriate to throw things other than hats on the ice. I think it's appropriate probably to warn him if they keep throwing stuff on the ice, but to interrupt a hat trick celebration like Gordon just did, I mean, that's kind of BB brains, folks.
Well, and another thing, too, is that I don't think there's any more hats left in this audience. I think that pretty much...
No, but there are all those bright gold things to quote the Tricycle Herald, a local television station. Actually, it's Channel 19, but don't tell anybody. Rennie and Woolf on the face-off. Woolf wins the draw. Woolf goes right after it, but Fancy cuts him off. Fancy with the puck, throws it out into the neutral zone. Picked up there by Toporowski. Driven into the Tri-City zone, back behind the net for Farrell. Farrell from Kolzig. Brings it right straight up the middle. Foot race is on. Rennie tries to go after it. Ferguson comes out to play it, bangs it off the wall. Rennie and Dreger fight for the puck. Rennie with it. Along the wall, Dreger gets it back to Rennie. Rennie, Farrell at the pointer shot. No, drove it in behind the net. Off to Brent Loring. Loring leaves it low for Nibs. Nibs, Loring, and Rennie are the line now. Rennie down low, behind the net. Or Rennie, rather, throwing it behind the net. Loring having a word with Toporowski. Ferguson leaving the puck behind the net. Chiefs will break it out. As Loring goes in, Toporowski puts a little jab on him. And the Chiefs bring it up, firing it out into the neutral zone. Goes beside the net. Kolzig will leave it for Sandwith. No icing call. Sandwith steps out, up the middle. House has lost his stick. Lafreniere turns, fires it back in. Sandwith gets it. Sandwith up the middle, put it right on the stick of Rowland. And it's chopped out of play by Rowland and Rennie. 13-11 to go in the second period here in the Coliseum. 4-2 Americans leading the Spokane Chiefs. They'll face it off just outside the blue line.
Well, the Victoria Cougars ended their season last night, finally.
Yep.
And they set a...
Mercifully.
Oh, and next year when the new handbook comes out for the WHL, it's going to be rewritten up. I'll tell you about a couple of the records that they now own in this league.
Most goals against. Fewest wins in a season.
Well, you're hitting a couple of them there.
Ugliest hockey team. Lindsay breaks in. Whoop, overskated the puck. Had to throw it out in the middle. And the Chiefs take it right back. Here comes Jickling. Jickling driving it in left of the net as Degner and Rowland tie up. McNutt in behind, drives it down to the right corner. McNutt goes down, and we got a whistle against number 21, Jickling.
Oh, and I'll tell you something. The stick was high, but
Lindsay wants a piece of Jickling.
And rightfully so, as Steve McNutt was taken to the ice with the stick.
That's going to be a major penalty, I believe.
And Steve McNutt is getting up. He's looking at his mouth. Steve Bailey is out on the ice quickly, down into the right corner to take a look at him.
Jickling really put the lumber to Steve McNutt at the 7:13 mark, the time of the penalty. High sticking the call. If McNutt can find some blood,
then we'll see him get out of there with a game misconduct.
And a 5-minute major. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that. It'll be the third power play of the night for the Americans. 2 minutes, says referee Gordon. Well, the rule is that if blood is drawn, it's automatically a 5-minute major penalty for attempt to injury. The referee, in his discretion, can assess a 5-minute penalty anyway.
Jickling 2 minutes for high sticking at 7:13.
But that's a discretionary call in the absence of the red stuff. With the red stuff, it is not discretionary.
It goes right automatic right here. Quickly, Kirk, some of the things the Cougars can claim as their own. Fewest points, 12. Fewest wins, 5 in 72 games. Most losses, 65. Longest losing streak, 32. A couple more, and I'll get those in just a second.
It must be the most goals against.
No, that's second.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. They must have some good goaltending once. Here comes Jakes, bringing the puck up the middle. No, they didn't. We know better than that. Levins carries it in, throws it across the slot for Reeves. Reeves looks in, fires it around low to Levins, right side, back to Reeves. Klemm ties up Reeves, but Nibs cuts the puck down. Reeves tried to throw it out to Levins. Levins behind the net, chops it high off the glass, cut down by Reeves. Back to Levins. Levins out front, Jakes. Power play underway. Redirect, save, loose puck in the slot, kicked away. Reeves trying to put it in, no, and they'll hold it up right there. As Reeves, the puck was still alive. Referee Gordon.
Well, Kyle Reeves had the puck way down in the corner. And Gordon goes ahead and blows the whistle, says Ferguson had enough mitt on it to call it good. And it squirted out from underneath there. Kyle Reeves bringing it back into the corner to try to set things up and try to work the play once again. And that's why you hear the fans doing their favorite imitation of Casper.
Who? Oh, Pooh. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're a lot younger than me, that's why. No, I remember.
All right, two other ones that they have. Victoria has the longest losing streak out on the road. That's 25. And second all-time in goals against. 564 goals against this year.
Who's first?
Oh, you had to ask me. Now I had it.
I think Calgary. I think the Lethbridge Broncos or the Calgary Wranglers, I think.
I will dig that for you real quickly.
Loose puck left of the net. Comes back up to Jakes. Jakes blue line. Fires it down low. Reeves doorstep. Wheels finds Spenrath. Knocked away by the Chiefs. Levins with it. Left hash mark. Levins out to Jakes again. Jakes a drive. Kicked away by Ferguson. Nice save by Ferguson. Nibs around low to Reeves. Reeves with the puck. Left hash mark. Tied up by Dreger. But Spenrath is there. Loose puck again. Junker has it, but Levins keeps it in play. Now Levins back off the wall to Jakes. Jakes losing it across the blue line. Junker's all over him. Levins comes back to get things back under control. Now Nibs with it. Nibs ahead to Levins as they break back in. Levins backhand. Reeves just overskated it. Levins paced Junker to the boards. Loose puck thrown out front, but thrown right by everybody. And Kolzig will play it ahead to Calvin Nibs. Nibs leaving it for Jakes. Steve Jakes, right point. Jakes takes it down low, throws it into the slot for McNutt. McNutt back to Nibs. Nibs, a wrist shot. Save made by Ferguson, who puts it up into the crowd. And they'll face it off in the Spokane zone with only 15 seconds left in the penalty to Mike Jickling.
Winnipeg Warriors back in the 83-84 season had 580 markers go up against them.
Are they now the Moose Jaw Warriors? Probably. They were run out of Winnipeg.
Yeah, and I can tell you that one too, actually.
11:02 to go in the second period here at Tri-Cities Coliseum. Another sellout. Tri-City Americans hosting the Spokane Chiefs. There are still a few tickets available for the playoffs between the Americans and Seattle Thunderbirds.
That's who they are, Kurt. They went over to Moose Jaw in 1984.
Face-off left circle in the Spokane zone. Power play Tri-Cities. 15 seconds left. Steve McNutt on the face-off between Degner and Lindsay. Seeker wins the draw. Goes into the corner left. Degner trying to throw it back up front. Or goes around behind the net. Picked up there by Shayne Seeker. Seeker up along the wall, but Virtue keeps it in play. Back in the Spokane zone. Power play is over. Chiefs with a power play goal on the night, so they're 1 for 2 so far. On the doorstep, Virtue, and he's hauled down. Penalty coming up. Virtue was just upended by Mike Jickling, who will go right back and sit down in the penalty box. As he came out and upended Virtue, he got exactly 10 seconds of playing time as he's back out of here at the 9:23 mark. His last penalty was at 7:13.
Well, I'll tell you something right there, Kirk. That was a complete breakdown by the Spokane Chiefs defense. They allowed Virtue to go in all by himself, all the way from the blue line. The only thing that Mike Jickling could have done is take the penalty. A very aggressive penalty. You have to do it in a situation like that. Unfortunately, Jickling just got out of the box, and he didn't. I don't think the seat was not cooled down.
Wasn't even cooled off yet.
You bet.
Well, I hate sitting on cold lumber, so, you know. McNutt with Degner and Lindsay.
Stewie Barnes getting ready to pop back out of the box.
Having served his 10-minute illegal use of the mouth. Puck loose, Sandwith losing it to McNutt. McNutt and Sandwith fight for it. Goes down along the wall right. Lafreniere tied up by Degner. Comes off to McNutt. Back up front, Sandwith. Sandwith goes right to Kerry Virtue. Virtue in the slot. Loose puck. Got underneath everybody as McNutt couldn't get to it. Neither could Degner. Out to McNutt. Back to Sandwith. Sandwith from the point. Fans on the shot. Falloon has the puck. Drives it length of the ice. Back into the Tri-City zone. Whitney back there to look at Kolzig. Kolzig drives it to the right side for Lindsay. Lindsay wheels around. He'll bring it up. Billy Lindsay. Lindsay straight up the middle. Lindsay cuts to the right. Turns back in. Takes a look. Back up front to Sandwith. Sandwith down below. McNutt. Turn. Shoot. Save Ferguson. Picked up by Degner. Degner back to Virtue. Virtue to Degner. Give and go. Nope. Comes back across the blue line. Sandwith with it. A minute to go on the power play. The Americans clear the zone. Lindsay, whoop, losing it to Whitney. Whitney to Falloon. Falloon one-on-one with Sandwith, but he'll have to wheel back. Falloon throws it way back out front now to Barry Dreger. Dreger back in his own zone under pressure from Bill Lindsay to Dumas. Back to Dreger. Dreger in his own zone, drives it through the middle. Hits Junker, poked away by Reeves. Picked up by Jakes. Jakes right, Reeves. Reeves starts to the middle. Kyle Reeves under pressure. Taken off by Dreger. Dreger turns. Finds Woolf. Mark Woolf, left side. At the point. Stick handles in. Down he goes. Puck picked up by Jakes behind the net. Jakes will bring it out for the Americans. Fires it ahead to Reeves. Reeves bouncing it off the wall for Spenrath. Spenrath goes in on Klemm. Klemm gets to the puck first, but he puts it right on Reeves' stick. They chop it away, and Sherstenka cuts it off at the blue line. Dan Sherstenka right to Levins. Levins shoots. Loose puck goes right in front of the crease. Chiefs there. Wolf drives it back into the Tri-City zone. Kolzig will leave it as Reeves is just hammered at the blue line. And now Spenrath goes over, and he's going to have a little word right in front of the Spokane bench. It's a bad place to fight. Levins tries to step in. Toporowski takes Levins out. Boy, Wolf and is that Wolf that's working on Spenrath? Reeves is back up. Go bite your lip, Kyle. Spenrath is just pounding the feathers out of, looks like Mark Wolf, in the Spokane bench.
Oh, he's
just
got the
handing him his lunch.
And he's got the uppercut working right now.
And the Spokane players can't do it. Spenrath is clearly upside down in the bench. He has just been throwing haymakers, and I think it's Mark Wolf. He's been down there working over. Spenrath gets back up. Is that Wolf? No, it's Dreger. Dreger still wants to go with Spenrath. The linesmen have them separated, but Spenrath wants a little more piece of Dreger. Dreger's hot to go again, but I don't think so. Barry Dreger obviously molested Kyle Reeves at the blue line, and Spenrath, wearing the badge, went in to explain things to him.
And here comes Donnie Blishen.
Well, we knew they were going to do that. Kolzig comes out, his last regular season game probably ever as a Tri-City American. The big guy from Union Bay, BC, getting a great hand as he goes back to the Americans' dressing room. Blishen will be between the pipes, and they'll sort the fight out here. We'll take a quick timeout, back in 30 seconds at Tri-Cities Coliseum. Greg Spenrath just over there feeding Barry Dreger his lunch. Dreger is now in the penalty box. And it was interesting, Tony, that the Spokane players all kind of cleared a space. Spokane coaches backed up, stayed out of the way.
Exactly.
And Spenrath just went to town on Barry Dreger. Exactly. Referee Gordon explaining it to the two captains. Wouldn't surprise me to see Spenrath get 5 for fighting and Dreger 2 for roughing or something, because Dreger never did throw a punch, I don't think.
Dreger was down inside the bench, and it all comes back from the retaliation. And of course, Greg Spenrath.
Number 15, Barry Dreger. 2 minutes for roughing and 2 minutes for roughing, a double minor for the Tri-City Americans. Number 27, Greg Spenrath. 2 minutes for instigation, 5 minutes for fighting at 11:26.
Well, you're going to hear some screaming about that. And probably, clearly Greg Spenrath was the only one of those two that was fighting. What happened, though, was that the referee obviously missed the penalty against that what should have been called on Dreger for working over Kyle Reeves.
You know, Kirk, we were talking about as Ole Kolzig left the ice, this very well could be his final regular season game. as a Tri-City American, actually in the WHL, as chances of him going up to the show are very big next year.
Absolutely.
And also, there are some other players out there tonight that are going to be playing their final regular season game as well. Steve Jakes, he's 5 points away from 90 going into tonight's contest. He's got a couple points going in. And so far, he's got 193 games played, 53 goals, 130 assists for 183 points. Get this, Kirk, he's got 748 minutes in the penalty box. Also, Greg Spenrath, this is his final game and the regular season. His career totals 202, 80 and 90 for 170 points, 663 penalty in minutes. And also, don't forget, Stewie Barnes. This may be his final regular season contest as well. He's 5 points away from breaking the all-time career points for franchise, held by Lauren Henning of 390. He's actually 4 points away from tying. He's in his 204th game as well.
Well, the Americans, right now it's 4-on-4. The puck goes into the Spokane zone. Levins being worked on by Lafreniere. Puck goes into the corner, right of the net. Levins fights his way through. Lafreniere all over him, though. Puck comes off to Barnes. He's tied up by Klemm. Picked up by Chrun. The power play will actually be a 3-minute power play, and it will start in 1 minute and 35 as Virtue goes behind the net. Or Fancy, rather, goes behind the net. There's no icing call. Fancy shoots it back through the middle to Farrell. Levins into the Spokane zone. Puck's loose. There are actually 10 Americans players who will graduate now and could only play as overages next year. Barnes will go in behind the net, and it's hard to say who those will be. So for all intents and purposes, there are 10 players playing their last regular season Western Hockey League game. Out in the neutral zone, Jickling. We'll tell you who those are as we go along. Barnes goes after the puck, can't get it. Minute to go in the 4-on-4. And too many men on the ice will be assessed against Spokane as Jickling played the puck and let it go into the Spokane zone. That's a nice way to wreck a power play.
Brian Maxwell has just got to be shaking his head on that one. Here he was ready to set up in 55 seconds to have himself a power play for 3 minutes. Now it ends up that the Spokane Chiefs will only have the power play for a minute, and they will be assessed a man. And
Tri-City's 0 for 3 on power plays. Spokane 1 for 3 now.
Are they going to go ahead and get the guy over here to the box?
No, Spokane's still 1 for 2 on power plays. That's a bench minor. Well, here they are. Jakes playing his last regular season game. Scott Farrell, Stu Barnes, Steve McNutt, Scott Levins, Terry Virtue, Calvin Nibbs, Steve Rennie, Greg Spenrath, and Ole Kolzig. All playing their last regular season home game. Ole Kolzig getting a little rest now in the second half of the game as Don Blishen comes in. Well, it will be actually an Americans power play now for about a minute. They have the man advantage. It's 4-on-3. Puck goes back to Barnes. Barnes in behind the net, and he'll start out. Barnes, Reeves, Rennie, and Jakes. There's some serious shooters on that line. Barnes brings it up. Barnes left to Reeves. Reeves back to Jakes at the left point. Jakes rotates to the top of the slot. Looks at the shot. Sweeps it left to Barnes. Left circle, Barnes back to Jakes. Jakes' shot. Drives it in behind the net. Picked up by Reeves. Reeves brings it back out front. Reeves, nice move in the slot out to Jakes. Jakes a drive. Hits a stick. Loose puck picked up by the Chiefs. Driven back out to the neutral zone. 16 seconds left in the Americans power play. They're 4th on the night. Jakes. Jakes will break it in himself. Leaves it for Rennie. Whistle. As Jakes, it looked like, put the lumber to Lafreniere.
That's what happened, a high sticking penalty. Steve Jakes will now go to the box as both boxes are filling up. 3 apiece now, and a power play will be going against the Americans. They'll skate 3-on-3 for the next 7 seconds, or 4-on. It'll be a 3-on-3 for the next 7.
Yeah. And then it will be 4-on-3.
For Spokane, power play for Spokane.
Yeah. This gets real confusing. Can you imagine what this was like before they had computers and stuff? Keep track of this? Who's serving the bench minor? House?
House is in for the bench minor.
And then, no, Seeker's serving that. And House is serving the second roughing on Dreger. Now, Spokane having a little trouble getting the right number of bodies on the ice. It'll be 3-on-3. And then I think House will be coming back on the ice. Face-off won by the Chiefs. Falloon. Nibs, blue line, steals it away. Nibs a shot, saved. But Whitney's there. 1 second. Now it's 5-on-3. Spokane's third power play of the night. House comes off. And back on for the Chiefs, Lafreniere. Klemm with the puck along the wall. Nibs kicks it back into the neutral zone. 53 seconds left in 4-on-3, and then it will be 5-on-3 as Whitney fights by Virtue. Takes it in behind the net. Whitney can't wrap Blishen as Virtue takes him into the wall hard, crunches him, smacks him with the butt end of the stick, and the puck is back into the neutral zone. Whitney and Sandwith exchanging jabs with the stick. Now it comes out to Sandwith, and he launches one up into the crowd. That was a bullet that went over a bunch of heads and got knocked down up in the A section.
Well, it took 36 games this year for people to finally realize that, and that looked pretty nice. They were able to part the wave there.
Yeah, you bet. Don't want to be standing in front of that thing when it comes roaring up there. 5:56 remaining in the period. It is 4-on-3 now for 27 seconds. Then it will be 5-on-3 for 45 seconds, and then 5-on-4. So Spokane will have their power play advantages here.
Very good, Kirk.
Rennie wins the draw, but the Chiefs have it. Blishen watching Evans. Evans to Dumas, back to Evans. Evans, left, Woolf. Woolf, left hash mark, back up front. Evans, left, Woolf. Woolf with it. 13 seconds left in the 4-on-3. Down low, right, back up front now. Left, Evans. Evans cranks a shot, misses to the wide side. It's Farrell. Lets it hit his skate. Back up front now to Dumas. Seeker is on the ice. Seeker getting in the act. Evans down the slot, goes to the right side. 5-on-3. Loose puck as the Chiefs miss. Out to Dumas. Dumas goes right. Finds Junker, back to Dumas. Almost lost it. Evans has it. Goes low left to Woolf. Back up front to Frank Evans. Evans. Dumas in the slot. Shoot. Save. Blishen. Puck comes out the right side. Farrell jumping on Evans. Evans with it. Off the wall to Woolf. Back to Frank Evans. Evans a shot. Save. Blishen. Loose puck shot. Save. Blishen. Puck goes to the right side. Donnie Blishen looking very sharp. He's trying to throw it out front to the right side. 5 seconds left in the 5-on-3. Dumas a shot. Save. Blishen. Farrell gets rid of it. Now it's 5-on-4. Back into the Spokane zone. Jake's behind the net. And I think
a two-line pass.
Oh.
Whoa, what great play by number 1, Donnie Blishen. And the crowd really comes to life here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum. Successfully killing off that 5-on-3, 45 seconds worth. There were 4 quality shots by the Chiefs on Donnie Blishen. Able to put the pad down on all 4 of them and knock them all away. The very final one is able to knock it out in front for the Americans to clear it down ice. Steve Jakes popping out of the box, picks it up down past the goal line. But it crossed a couple of lines on its way. They'll bring it back inside the American zone for the face-off.
Like he was out there with Excalibur that time. 27, or a minute 1 remaining in the penalty to Spenrath. So the power play continues. Lafreniere, left point, goes left. Falloon stolen away by Barnes. Barnes, loose puck, picked up by Whitney. Falloon right to Whitney. Tried to force it, no. Blishen saved it. Out front now to Lafreniere. Lafreniere goes to the right side. Klemm to Thurston, back to Klemm to Thurston behind the net. Whitney poked away by Barnes. Blishen whacks at it. Loose puck. Chopped out of there by Virtue. Foot race. Lafreniere gets to it ahead of Nibs. Right to Klemm. Klemm left, across the slot. Falloon. Right. Shot. Score. Falloon found Whitney. There was not a whole lot that Don Blishen could do about that.
Not at all. As the Spokane Chiefs were able to break down the Tri-City Americans penalty killing unit, go inside. It was Whitney and Falloon all the way. They were able to go in, basically pick their shot on Donnie Blishen. Donnie did the best he could and was able to just barely get over there in time, but not good enough. As the puck went into the net, Ray Whitney picks up his second marker of the evening, and the Spokane Chiefs crawl back within one. It's the Americans 4 and Spokane 3.
15:59, the time of the goal. Whitney from Falloon, and I think Thurston.
Ray Whitney, a power play goal. He assists to number 19, Pat Falloon, and number 7, Brent Thurston at 15:59.
And that should wipe out the penalty on Spenrath. Oh, no, it won't. Spenrath has a major. So the power play continues. Dreger with the puck. Spokane 2 of 4 on the power plays. Puck tied up along the wall. Levins trying to take it away from Dreger. Can't. Rowland. 15 seconds left in the penalty. That's right. Spenrath had the single major there. Comes out along the wall. Reeves tried to skate it away. Couldn't. Virtue breaks up the play. Loose puck. Knocked away. Chiefs have it. Way out front. 2 seconds left. Dreger, right side. Shot. Save. Sand came down on Virtue's body on Jickling. Power play's over. Spenrath is back. Loring just goes racing out there. He was serving the minor, and he just crunched somebody. Now the loose puck into left corner. Chiefs with the puck. Spenrath will be allowed out when the next stoppage in play occurs. Puck comes back along the wall. Back down to Rowland. They throw it out front. Junker shot, save. Blishen, and Blishen will cover it up. No, played it out to Loring. Loring flipping it off the wall. Shot, save. Blishen covered it up. And he's dived on by Rowland. Now Levins dumps Rowland. Blishen goes after Rowland for messing with Blishen. That was dumb on Rowland's part. Rowland came sliding in there and put the lumber to Blishen.
And then Donnie Blishen gets up after he sprawled out. He doesn't like players coming into him anymore. He learned a lesson the other night against Portland. And he jumps up and he starts charging Rowland.
Now they're going to dump Reeves. I got to hear this one. Now you're going to tell me that Reeves jumped in front of Levins to hit the guy, right? You didn't tell me that?
I'm not going to say that. I think Reeves was back behind the play there with a slash possibly.
Don Blishen, 2 minutes for roughing at 17:01.
That's where I thought it was, and I saw the 17 up on the American side of the board there. And I wasn't about to guess, Kirk.
Well, it'll be power play number 5 for the Spokane Chiefs. 2:59 remaining in the second period here at the Coliseum. Kirk Williamson, Tony I on a whiteout Wednesday night. Puck chopped away. The Americans have it. Sherstenka, nope, lost it to Falloon. Jakes goes in behind the net to tie up Falloon. Americans whip it back around behind the net. Thurston out to the point now. Klemm, right point, goes left. Lafreniere. Hook checked away by Nibbs. Nibbs is hauled down. Loose puck. Shot. Sherstenka. Scores. Sherstenka picks up the loose puck and did his thing. Danny Sherstenka takes the puck down there as everybody was screaming and yelling about Calvin Nibbs being hauled down. Well, that shook up the Spokane players enough to allow Danny Sherstenka to pick it up in the blue line. He goes all the way in on Ferguson, takes it to one side, brings it back to the other, pops it into the net, a short-handed goal. The Americans' 28th of the year. Danny Sherstenka's 9th marker of the year, and the Americans' 5th of the night. They now lead it 5-3 over the Spokane Chiefs. Dan Sherstenka, an 18-year-old in his 3rd year in the league from Edmonton. This is Danny's draft year. Spokane Chiefs fire the puck into the zone. I think that goal will go unassisted. Falloon behind the net, throws it out, and Nibbs has it. Chiefs getting the shot up front. Dreger, left, Whitney. Back up front, Dumas, shot, save. Rennie and Nibbs getting assists. Now Rennie pokes it out front. Dreger hands it for the Chiefs. Was not unassisted. Shot taken, save. Blishen comes off the wall to Rennie. Rennie looks up ice, throws it out in the middle. Sherstenka. He fires it in right of the goal. Shift change, Tri-Cities. 52 seconds left in the power play. Chiefs with it. Rennie trying to take it away from Falloon. Falloon finally muscles across ice right to Thurston. Thurston stood up by Virtue. Loose puck picked up by Nibbs. Nibbs fires it in ahead of Rennie. Rennie goes in. Rennie in the slot. Sandwich, huge save, Ferguson. And they'll stop the play right there.
Great save by Jeff Ferguson. As Steve Rennie brings the puck on down the ice, trying to find Terry Virtue cutting down through the left circle. It's deflected by a Spokane Chiefs player back into the mid-slot area. Right there is Chrun Sandwich to put the stick down and do his patent wrist shot. You really can't crank up the slap shot right now because he does have a sore wrist still. But I'll
still wearing a great spin wrap pass.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, Jeff Ferguson, great glove save as he went to the top shelf and was able to snag it for the face-off.
Well, we both watched a little bit of that on television the other night from Spokane, and Ferguson was playing very well against the Chiefs, or against the Seattle Thunderbirds.
Yes.
Chiefs will bring the puck up. Nope, Lindsay's going to take Klemm off of it. McNutt digs it loose. McNutt, minute 17 to go. They throw it back out front. Power play continues. Now Sandwich fires it in behind the Spokane net. Minute 7 seconds left in the power play. Puck thrown back out front. Backboard is Sandwich, back in his own zone. Time has expired on the power play. Loose puck beside the net. Junker walks in, throws it up front. Shot, save, Blishen! Wolf tries to throw it in front, can't do it. Now the Americans control it. Virtue tried to headman Lindsay. Evans cuts it off. Gets it by Virtue. Seeker jumps on it, but Sandwich is there. Fires it out to the neutral zone. Evans with it. Goes right, finds Jickling. McNutt finds Jickling too. Jickling losing it to Steve McNutt. McNutt backhands it for Reeves. Not quite hot enough. Thurston has it. Thurston a drive. Save Blishen. Big rebound. Lafreniere. Save Blishen. Lafreniere a big slapper. And Blishen puts it out of play.
Donnie Blishen playing excellent goal. The leg obviously feeling a lot better as he has made several leg saves this evening using the big pads and kicking them out of the way. This one he sends right upstairs into the crowd for a souvenir. Donnie Blishen playing big in net, and what a good thing for the Americans to have, Kirk, as they have two solid netminders heading into the playoffs against the Seattle Thunderbirds this Saturday.
Well, that's something the T-Birds do not have. Absolutely do not have. Face-off left circle, Tri-City zone. Off the wall as Barnes slaps it down. Now Farrell drives it out of the neutral zone for Nibbs. Gets by Nibbs. Lafreniere has it. Lafreniere turns, fires it back into the Tri-City zone. Blishen will leave it behind the net for Farrell. Farrell wearing an assistant captain's A. Will start the breakout. He's going to take his time, though, as Rowland and Fancy kind of bat each other around. Now Farrell moves to the right. He just watched for time to run out. So the score at the end of the second period here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum, Tri-City Americans 5, Spokane Chiefs 3. We'll be back in 2 minutes on this AM 1340 Cable 15 simulcast.
All right, we're back here live once again at the Tri-Cities Coliseum, taking a look up at the scoreboard. The Tri-City Americans lead the Spokane Chiefs by a score of 5-3 in this second intermission. Here's how things look in the second period of play. The Tri-City Americans had the lead out of the first period, 3-2. They made it a 4-2 contest on Kyle Reeves' 68th marker of the year, a natural hat trick, as he is able to score 3 consecutive markers in a row. Again, his 68th of the year. Scott Levins, Steve Jakes with the helpers, 5:37, the time of the goal, and the entire place erupted by throwing out the hats. Yes, they had to stop the clock. They had to stop the game. They brought off one of the nets, and they scooped up all the hats. Trust me, Kirk and I are going to be down in that locker room sifting through some of those hats and putting a couple of them on our account. I guarantee it. Kyle Reeves with the marker, 68. Levins and Jakes, 5:37. The Americans lead it 4-2, but the Spokane Chiefs come roaring right back. 15:59, the time of power play goal. This is the time they take out Ole Kolzig. Ole Kolzig out right at about the 12-minute mark of this second period, and it was a game plan ordeal tonight, as Coach Rick Kozuback says he wants to get both his netminders a little action, and he brings in Donnie Blishen. Ole Kolzig doing a terrific job tonight in pipe for the Americans. Donnie Blishen, he is sacked with several American penalties and is put in a position where he's got to kill off a 5-on-3 for 45 seconds, and then he stops 4 real good solid shots on net, kicks them away, tells me that the leg is doing fine for Donnie Blishen. He's ready to play tonight, but unable to stop Ray Whitney and Patty Falloon as the Tri-City Americans penalty killing unit breaks down over off to the left-hand side of the net. Donnie Blishen's right-hand side, his stick side, as Ray Whitney or Patty Falloon comes down the ice, takes a look at the empty net basically, decides not to shoot it. By that time, Donnie Blishen out of position. He tosses over to Whitney. Whitney pops it in, and Spokane gets their third marker of the evening. Whitney from Falloon and Thurston. A power play goal, 15:59 the time of the marker, and the Spokane Chiefs are back within one. It's 4-3 Tri-Cities. But the Americans made it a 5-3 contest as they go to the dressing room. Danny Sherstenka taking advantage of everyone stopping, thinking there was a penalty being called against Spokane on the hooking call, or on the hook to Calvin Nibbs. Calvin Nibbs brought down right in the neutral ice area. Everybody in the Coliseum, including some of the Spokane Chief players, stopping and allowing that puck to filter in past the blue line into the Chief zone. There's Danny Sherstenka playing heads-up hockey, takes the puck, goes all by himself in on Ferguson, goes one way, comes back the other, pops it into the net for his 9th marker of the year. And Steve Rennie, Calvin Nibbs again with the helpers. The Americans' 28th shorthanded goal of the season, 17:23 the time, and the Americans take the lead into the dressing room by a score of 5-3. The Americans so far this evening, big story developing right here. They are 0 for 4 on the power play. Remember, the Spokane Chiefs are the team that has shut down the Tri-City Americans power play 3 times this year. The Americans only 7 times all season have they been shut down on the power play. So far 0 for 4 tonight, while the Spokane Chiefs, on the other hand, 2 for 5 so far this evening, and those 2 power play goals being scored by Ray Whitney. When we come back, we will be talking with Tri-City American Devin Derksen. In the second intermission, the score, the Americans 5 and the Spokane Chiefs 3. Back right after this. Back once again at the Tri-Cities Coliseum. I'm Tony Ott, joined now in the broadcast booth by Tri-City Americans left winger, defensive man, sometimes captain of this team, Devin Derksen. Night off tonight, Devin gets a chance to watch what's going on, rest you up for the playoffs. Thanks for coming up and talking with us tonight.
Thanks.
How's things going? You have the night off, and this gives you an opportunity to kind of kick back and watch it. I'm sure that you'd like to be out there tonight. But again, resting you up for the playoffs, that's important because Seattle is coming up on Saturday, and this Seattle series is really, really going to be a big one for this team, isn't it?
Especially with Brian Sakic out right now. We know that it's going to be especially tough now to beat Seattle. They're playing tough. They're playing good right now. And right now this game means nothing to us and Spokane. It's just kind of a motivator to get into the playoffs. And, you know, if both of us had a choice, I think we'd both take the night off, both teams. But we have to play it, and hopefully no one will get any injuries, and we'll be ready to go Saturday.
Tell me, Devin, out of the season now, game 72 is just 2/3 over now. What have you seen? What have you seen accomplished this year? Your retrospect of what you've gone through this entire year.
It's kind of been up and down, you know. A lot of the guys from last year, you know, Murray Dubell, Kelly Kutowitz, and they all got traded. You know, new guys came in. It's a little hard to say goodbye to some friends and all that. And you know, the incident that happened at Christmas time, you know, we felt we had to do something, and we did it. And you know, right now, I think after Christmas time, we're really starting to click now, and hopefully we can do it in the playoffs. You know, it's been kind of a rough year for Kozuback and all the players, and hopefully we can click it around and do something in playoffs, hopefully.
How do you guys feel about going in against Seattle? I know that this is a team that has really been hot. They've got a lot of offensive power. They've been able to beat the Tri-City Americans every single time they played them up there this year, up there in Seattle. But that has been once in the Coliseum, and the rest of the times in the arena. You've got 2 contests that are in the Coliseum. 12,000 plus people expected.
It's going to be to our advantage a little, I think. You know, we don't play very good in the older Coliseum. The rink that they're going to be playing in the next 2 games is as big as the ice surface we have here. I think we might benefit off that a little, and hopefully Stu Barnes and all them with that open ice and all that big ice, they can skate through it pretty well. And but you got to look at, they have Nedved and Goodall, and that could help them out too.
Devin, your numbers so far this season: 15, 43 for 58. You pleased with what you've done so far this year?
Yeah, I am. Last year with only having 16 points, I didn't expect I'd be doing as good as I did, but thanks to the coaching staff, Kozuback, and that giving me a chance to play. And plus, I've changed the way I play a little. Last year, I played a little more when I went out there, more hitting and all that. And this year, it's kind of a different game now with new rules about taking off you don't take the helmets off when you fight and that. It gives more time to skate now. And
that's one thing that we have not seen a whole bunch of Devin Derksen this year is throwing down the gloves and going at it toe-to-toe.
With that new rule about not taking the helmet off, it's hard sometimes to fight, and a lot of people get banged up hands and that. And actually, it's a lot different league. Last year was a lot tougher and rougher. This year, they're bringing in a lot more skating players and that, and it's just totally different new league.
This year, you're eligible for all rounds of the draft coming up, and this is a big year for you. How do you feel? Do you think it come around June time that somebody's going to be picking up your number?
Well, actually, I can only go in the first 3 rounds this year.
This year is the first 3
rounds?
rounds?
First 3 rounds, and you know, it's going to be tough to go in the first 3, but hopefully next year, if I get a good year, maybe I can click on to a later round or something. Hopefully I can.
I know Coach Rick Kozuback sure is impressed with the way Devin Derksen has played this year. Coach Kozuback comes back next year. I'm sure that the Devin Derksen that he saw and liked this year will be back again next year for this club and will certainly help out and be a part of this American organization. The playoff Saturday, hope to see you back out there on the ice this Saturday.
See you later.
All right. Devin Derksen, left-winger defensive man for the Tri-City Americans. He's been our guest. When we return, we'll talk with Steve Crow, general manager of KEPR Television. We'll see what he has to say about the yellow cards tonight. They're around the Coliseum. Believe me, it's quite a sight to see here at the Tri-Cities Coliseum. The Americans 5, Spokane 3. Back right after this. He's out. A friend of his passed away.
Coliseum and ready now for the third period face-off.
And Kirk, this third period face-off is being sponsored by Mets Marina, serving the region's boating needs for 36 years on Clover Island, Lake Wallula, in Kenaway.
Steve McNutt and Mark Woolf on the face-off. McNutt wins the draw. Back to Jakes. To McNutt, goes left now. Finds Derry Degner. Degner breaks in off the left wing. Degner down to the left corner. Tied up there by Klemm. Puck comes off the wall loose. Lindsay tried to center for McNutt. Couldn't get it done. Puck comes back to the right side. Bobby House. House with it. Shot loose. McNutt keeping it in play in the Spokane zone. Down beside the net. Degner catches a stick in the face as he goes after it. Comes off the wall to Klemm. Gets by Sherstenka. Back into the Tri-City zone. Dan Sherstenka at his own blue line. Goes to the right side. Jakes. Jakes up the wall. Throws it left for Degner. Degner to Lindsay in a slot. But Lindsay had to kick it away into the left corner. Puck goes in left beside the net. Terry Degner. Degner back up front now. Sandwith with the puck. Bodies down. Sandwith shot save Ferguson. Lindsay races after it to the corner. Bill Lindsay sweeping it loaded. Degner. Terry Degner tied up along the wall by Klemm. Degner kicks it loose. McNutt with it. McNutt back to Degner. Degner as they weave along the wall. Degner with it. Turns away from Klemm. Finds Lindsay. They turn. Degner with it. Back out front to McNutt. Gets by Virtue. And Virtue has to rip it back into the Spokane zone. And we got a quick whistle. It'll be a two-line, an icing rather, called against the Americans. Icing the call. 5-3 Tri-Cities. Back after this. 18:44 remaining in the hockey game. Americans leading 5-3 over the Spokane Chiefs. Falloon winning the draw from Barnes. Puck goes behind the net to Whitney. Falloon out front, shot seeker, save Blishen, and it's shot back into the neutral zone by the Americans. Back for it in a hurry, Lafreniere all over him is Rennie. Rennie stole the puck away, but the Chiefs have it. Evans along the wall now to Falloon. Patty Falloon from Fox Warren, Manitoba. Puck goes left along the wall, back to Evans. Evans turns, steps in front of his own net. Frank Evans from another former WHL city, Red Deer, Alberta. Puck shot in right at the net. Comes off the wall to Nibs. Nibs in behind his own net. Fires it along the wall. Tried to get it out to Rennie. It got by Rennie, and Lafreniere cuts it down in the neutral zone to Falloon at the blue line, and he loses it and is called offside. Pat Falloon doing a little dipsy-doodle at the blue line, and it was a little too much dipsy.
And yes, it was definitely, Kirk, as he was trying to skate
I bet
that
you
line.
can't describe it like that.
Dipsy Doodle is pretty good, Kirk. Where did you pick that one up at?
I've been reading Jim Riley's column in the Tri-City Herald. 18 minutes to play in the hockey game. Just outside the blue line. Just outside the Tri-Cities blue line. And it will be Levins and Jickling to take the draw. Puck back into the Tri-City zone, right onto Farrell's stick. Farrell hauls it through the middle. Former Spokane Chief rips it in behind the net, comes off to Ferguson, to Toporowski. He's lined up by Levins. Levins trying to use those long arms to poke the puck loose. Spenrath gets in there and does. Rowland ties up Spenrath along the wall. Now they try to kick it loose. Turning around, putting a hit on Toporowski as Levins comes off to Levins. Spenrath backhand shot save. Ferguson just missed inside the pipe. Spenrath back low to Levins on the dasher board. Levins cuts it down. He's going to have to do something with Rowland. And finally, we get a whistle. I think they're going to face it off, arguing the puck was frozen. That's an interesting time to blow the whistle, isn't it?
Well, the puck was up on the dasher board up there, and it was pinned up against the glass. These dasher boards, by the way, are one of the thicker ones that you'll find around the league, as they take that puck, and boy, it wraps all the way around here. This time it was up on end. It was pressed up against the glass, so they'll bring it back out to one of the circles for the faceoff.
It is a whiteout here in the Coliseum. Kirk Williamson along with Tony Otten. Once again, we want to thank the good folks at Mr. Tux.
Yeah, you look real sharp in that.
Yeah, so do you. Last time I wore one of these, I got married. Face off left circle into Spokane zone. You think I'm going to follow a line like that? You're nuts. Bowen and Thudium tie up the puck. I got married. I'm still married to the same lady almost 22 years later. So there.
There you go.
Face off left circle in the Tri-City zone. It would have had to take something like ice hockey to get me back in one of these. 5-3 Americans leading with Spokane Chiefs. Barnes and Chrun. On the face-off, Chrun wins it. Dreger firing it around behind the net. Maitland gets a great hip check from Loring. Keeps the puck in play in front of Ferguson, and he covers it up. What a hip check by Brad Loring.
Punishing hit as the torpedo. Brad Loring goes in. He zeroes in, and he does his job. Brad Loring out there, 350-plus penalty minutes last year with the Merritt Centennials.
Right, you know what we need? We need to have, I just finished reading Hunt for Red October again for about the 8th time. We need to have
that. You told me about that.
Everybody in the place needs to go ping, ping, ping like sonar when Brad comes on in. Face off right circle, Barnes and Dumas. Oh, Brad's going to hate me some more again. Face off right circle in the Spokane zone. Barnes and Thurston to take the draw. Thurston, an 18-year-old from Delta, British Columbia. Barnes, a 19-year-old, first-round draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets. Barnes overskates the puck along the wall. Bowen trying to get it out to him. Dreger ties up Bowen. Bowen losing his headgear. Puck goes back in beside him. Bowen picks it up, throws it out front, but he threw it off the net. Loose puck picked up now by number 10, Bobby House. Bobby House from Whitehorse, the Yukon. Puck goes rink wide left. Virtue can't quite find the handle. It's back into the Tri-City zone. Sandwith bangs it off the wall for Bowen. Bowen tries to cut it back to Barnes. They do. They get it back to Sandwith. Sandwith to Virtue. Bowen without his headgear takes the pass up the middle. Bowen, feathered the pass left intended for Barnes. Chiefs cut it off, but the Americans drive it right back into the zone. Barnes racing in behind the net. Whoa! Barnes cross-checked right in the head by Ferguson, and a penalty is coming.
Against the Americans.
It's going to go against Barnes.
Interference will be the call as he interfered with.
Oh, Barnes just shaking his head.
Ferguson down there.
He interfered with Ferguson's stick with his neck.
Took him right out of the play. The interference call is made. Stewie Barnes shaking his head going, I can't believe it. And he's on his way back to the box. Another power play opportunity for the Spokane Chiefs. Their 6th of the evening. They've already converted on 2 of them.
Coach Rick Kozuback just sort of shaking his head like, I don't really believe what I just saw. 6th power play of the night for the Chiefs. That is pretty amazing. Although Barnes probably did interfere. Jeff Ferguson tried to reach up with his stick and stuff it down Barnes's gizzard, and Barnes shoved his face right in the way.
Tried to do a little AT&T, reach out and touch someone.
That's right. Bad manners, Stu. Just outside the blue line, outside the Spokane blue line, Whitney and running on the draw. Whitney wins it. Whitney turns, goes left to Dreger. Barry Dreger up through the middle. He was acquired from Regina earlier this year. Puck comes off the wall to Seeker. Seeker's dumped. Blishen fires the puck out along the wall to Nibbs. Nibbs back into the Spokane zone. It's almost on goal. Ferguson will play it as Rennie dives in on him. Ferguson gets it out to Dreger. Dreger out behind the net. Fires at the length of the ice. It'll be icing if Jakes can get to it first. Jakes or Sherstenka. Sherstenka gets the icing call with 15:40 to play. 5-3 Americans. Will be back right after this. Spokane zone. Puck goes around behind the net. Lafreniere cutting it off the wall. Almost losing it to Nibbs. Gets it back. Lafreniere out to Dumas. Ahead to Mark Woolf. Woolf up the left wing. Boards for Junker. Junker wheels in. Sherstenka cuts him off. Puck goes behind the net. Jakes. Jakes will turn. Here come the Americans. 3-on-3. Jakes. Rink-wide pass, but it went right on the stick of Chris Lafreniere. Lafreniere brings it up. Blue line right. Been hacked by Nibbs. In behind the net. Puck comes out to Rowland. Rennie belts Rowland in the wall, along the wall. Wolf throwing it into the slot. Blishen dives on it and covers up to stop the play. They'll face it off to Don Blishen's right-hand side. Your left as you look on from center ice.
Calvin Nibbs using the stick quite heavily down there. One of the advantages that Calvin Nibbs did right there that it did not result in a penalty was that he had the butt end of the stick out, working the backside of it, and doing some great stick checking there. That lets you know if you're bringing up the puck that your defensive man is right behind you. It can intimidate, and also it can really throw you off as far as your stick handling ability. And right there, the feisty play of Calvin Nibbs.
Face-off left circle. Calvin Nibbs, the pride of Bow Island, Alberta. And, of course, he is also 19-year-old, playing in his last regular season game as a Tri-City American. Puck loose in the corner. Can you see Nibbs and Rennie being drafted?
Oh.
I sure can.
Oh, you betcha.
Puck goes in left to the net. Sandwith, big hit there as he puts Whitney against the wall. Puck comes up to Virtue. Virtue trying to headman Lindsay. Goes back into the Spokane zone. Lindsay back in to look at Klemm. Klemm goes behind the net. Half a minute to play in the power play. Klemm steps out with McNutt in pursuit. Now Virtue cuts it loose along the wall. Picked up by Lindsay. Lindsay one-on-one with Klemm. Tried to drop it for McNutt. McNutt all over it, but the Chiefs have it now. Dreger goes right to Whitney. Whitney kicking it ahead to Falloon. Back to Ray Whitney. Poke checked away by the Americans, and Lindsay wheels. Lindsay up the left side. Lindsay a drive. Save Ferguson. Lindsay gets the rebound, throws it out in the slot. Just overskated by McNutt as he couldn't get to it. Virtue couldn't get the right side on it. Power plays over. Barnes back on the ice. McNutt with it. Barnes goes off. And on is number 17, Kyle Reeves. Reeves with a hat trick already tonight, and the puck is frozen in front of the Americans' penalty box. Thurston and McNutt. Face-off will come in the neutral zone.
Spokane Chief Brian Maxwell behind the bench. Terrific job that he's done for the Chiefs this year. He brought him back from a very disappointing season last year up in Spokane, back to a respectable 30, 36, and 5 so far this year. Brian Maxwell's credentials, both as a player and a coach, are well documented. Standout defenseman with the Tigers of Medicine Hat, 71 through 73, first-round pick by Minnesota, and went on to play from 74 through 85 as a defender. Good one, too.
Puck back in behind the Tri-Cities net. Spenrath lays it out, but Rowland cuts it off the blue line. Rowland passing to himself along the wall. Tied up by Fancy. Levins with it. Lays it back for Spenrath. Spenrath and Junker going after it. Junker has it. Junker goes behind the net. Tries to wrap Blishen. And there's Jeff Fancy to cut him off. Nice defensive play by Fancy. Puck shot back outside the blue line. Chiefs caught offside as they work it back in. One of several excellent defensemen from Cranbrook. John Klemm is from Cranbrook. Jeff Fancy's from Cranbrook. Niedermeyer from Kamloops is from Cranbrook. Not bad.
No, that is. That's a good line right there. You know, speaking of Maxwell over there, he was an assistant coach in '85, a head coach in '86 at the Hat, and in 1987 he captured the biggest jewel of his career, the Memorial Cup championship. Then went on for a stint in the NHL with the Kings.
He certainly knows how it's done.
Yes, he does.
Puck shot cross ice to the torpedo. Loring overskates it in a scramble at center ice. Maitland losing it to Bowen. Bowen gets hit by Chrun, but Loring has the puck. Loring tried to center for Barnes. Barnes got tied up. Big hit by Sherstenka. Loring with the puck along the wall. Down low, Loring got 2 goals last game for the Americans. Puck comes off the wall to Maitland. Loring lines him up and belts him. Ping, 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 ping. Brad Loring's loose. Now Thurston picks up the loose puck. He's the only Spokane Chief still on his feet after Loring's been busy. Now Barnes brings it up. Loring trailing. Barnes left, shot beside the net, loose. Barnes goes into the corner. Barnes with it, throws it out for Bowen. Bounces off the wall to Virtue. Virtue takes it low. Oh, did he get a two-hander from Thudium? Behind the net, Barnes. Barnes looking out front. Barnes shot by Jakes, cruising in, but just missed. Jakes only 5 points short of 90 on the season. Loose puck gets by Bowen out to the neutral zone. Bowen with it, waiting for Barnes. Now he puts it on Bowen's stick, on Loring's stick rather. Puck goes right to Woolf. Woolf and Virtue go after it, but Thurston picks up the loose puck. Thurston wheels in, shoots, save, Blishen. Loose puck, Blishen falls on it as Jakes is right there as well.
Brent Thurston coming down on the right side, taking a very difficult angle, looking for the short side. Donnie Blishen playing the angle that he has done so well, so much this season. Donnie Blishen comes out, plays those angles, and then you've got Ole Kolzig who just stands in there and just uses his giant frame in there. I'll tell you, the Tri-City Americans are blessed with the kind of goaltending combination that they have. They had the same thing last year.
That's right, with Berlin and Kolzig. Frank Berlin at last report playing in Moncton, playing for the Moncton Hawks. Face off right circle. Puck comes up to Dreger. Dreger a shot, save, Blishen, loose puck in the slot. Everybody's tied up though out front. Dreger will try again. Destroyed his stick as Bill Lindsay took him off the play. Back out to Dumas now. Lindsay hauled down. Loose puck goes right to Lindsay. Throws it back into the Spokane zone. Boy, Lindsay was just upended by Dreger. McNutt on the slot. McNutt gets crunched. Lindsay with the puck out front. Virtue a drive. Hits a stick out front. Thurston with it. Taken off the play by Lindsay. Lindsay fires it back in. McNutt wheels. Puck comes around to Bobby House and Dreger. Comes off the wall to Dumas. Rob Dumas, left side, Thurston. Brent Thurston, former Victoria Cougar. Puck picked up by Bill Lindsay. Lindsay up the left side to Degner. Terry Degner being worked over by House. Tries to drop it along the wall for McNutt. McNutt and Lindsay dive in, but the puck comes out loose to Thurston. Thurston, headman pass, Whitney. Whitney almost broke away, but it's poke checked away by Jakes. Lindsay works it back into the Spokane zone. Back for it is Evans. McNutt goes after Evans. Evans drops it back to Lafreniere. 5-3 Americans. 10 minutes to play in the hockey game. To Evans. Right to Lafreniere. Off the wall to Pat Falloon. Falloon. His pass stolen away by Jakes. Gets it to Barnes. Evans there. Fires it back in. Picked up by Jakes again. Jakes ripping it into the Spokane zone. It's wide of the net. Barnes and Lafreniere go after it. No icing. Barnes chipping it out in front of the net. Barnes outrunning Lafreniere for the puck. Lafreniere had momentum and a head start, and Barnes skated him right off of it. Sherstenka to Nebs along the wall for Rennie, but it went out of play. Up into the penalty box, just missed the glass. New puck comes on.
Well, Kirk, next action for the Americans. Seattle, as the Tri-City Americans head into the first round of the Western Division playoffs.
Which reminds me that Paul Drake and I will take the road show on our sister station, Y106 KOTY, off to Seattle on Friday morning, shall we say. We're going to put the needle to Seattle. Up along the wall, John Klemm. Blue line, sorry. Barnes being punched by Junker. I don't know what happened to the referees taking the time off, I guess. Loose puck. Junker just punched out on Barnes. Now the puck's picked up by Rowland. Rowland turns. Nibs puts a little wood on Toporowski. Puck comes off the wall to Blishen. Whoop. Donnie Blishen steering it around behind the net. Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs rolling it through the middle of Barnes. Barnes leaves it for Rennie. Drop back pass, but it went right to Junker. Junker turns. Goes right for Rowland. Rowland off the wall, but fancy there. Loose puck picked up by Barnes. Barnes hits the Jets. Barnes behind the net, wheels out, cuts to the left side. Barnes brings it down. Barnes right through the middle, hitting a face by Dumas. Loose puck there as Dumas tries to get rid of it. Nibbs is all over him. Back to the neutral zone, Sandwich. That's the new defensive play by the Spokane Chiefs, is every time Barnes gets the puck, Dumas punches him in the face. I'll bet Maxey learned that in the National League.
Well, and he was down
You
there.
watch how many times it happened.
That's
now?
right. That's true. Rough them up a little bit. Get into this part of the contest. That's what you try to do. You try to wear down your opponent. Use the body quite a bit. Throw the stick out there a little bit.
Yeah, the only bad thing about that is that Stewie on occasion will retaliate, and that's when the whistle seems to blow. Levins and Chrun on the face-off. Loose puck comes off to Thudium, back to Dumas. Dumas goes left to Dreger. Shot through the middle, almost cut down by Spenrath. Picked up by Sherstenka, chopped in beside the net. Blishen goes way behind the net to play it off to Jakes. Back up to Dreger. Dreger, a shot, hits bodies beside the net. Jakes will have it. Jakes whips in behind the net, finds Spenrath. Spenrath off the wall for Levins. Levins in the middle, trying to roll it ahead to Reeves. Dreger with it, back in his own zone. Goes right to Calvin Thudium. Thudium, rink-wide pass left. Run down by Chrun. Jakes ties up Chrun. Jakes stealing the puck. Goes left for Levins, hits him right in his skates. Breakaway Levins. Backhand shot, save Ferguson as Levins is hauled down. Loose puck beside the net. Levins is all over the puck. Now we're going to get a whistle.
Well, referee Gordon is just letting the boys play right now. He's just wanting to get this thing through. And honestly, I think the best thing to do is to just do just that.
I think so.
Get it through and get both teams out.
Oh, now Levins bought himself a 10-minute misconduct, which will be done. He'll be done for the night.
Yeah. And in Scott Levins' regular season.
Well, he was over having some serious words with referee Gordon. Now Scotty's going to really air him out, let him get the full force.
Well, and if Scott can't do it loud enough, there's 6,000 people here that'll help him out.
Yeah. Yeah. And the penalty killers come on the ice. Well, no, won't be a power play.
That's right.
Levins getting just a 10-minute misconduct. He'll be replaced. Barnes, Spenrath, and Reeves on the ice now.
You know, the interesting thing is, Kirk, is that Spokane has held the Americans offered on 4 power play opportunities. This is the same team that has held the Tri-City Americans down 3 times this year on the power play. The only team to have done that so far. 7 times total this year as the Americans been offered all game.
Referee Gordon getting an earful from one of the fans over there who has made a megaphone out of that KPR TV gold waving device over there. Seems to work okay too, because Gordon winced the last time. Up the left wing comes Lafreniere into the Tri-City zone. Farrell skates him right off the puck. I don't know what Lafreniere thought the puck was doing, but there's a hook for you. Boy. Farrell is hauled down by Bobby House. Bobby House will go sit in the little house they have for guys who do things like that.
The bad boy room.
Yeah, comes at the 11:52 mark. I know one of the kindergarten teachers at Vista Field, or at Vista School, Tony, has a blue chair that you have to sit in.
A penalty chair.
2 minutes for a hooking, that's right. You have to sit in the blue chair. You done, you know you're in trouble.
It's amazing what this team has brought to this area, huh?
5-3 Americans leading the Spokane Chiefs. Somehow I think she had that chair beforehand. Be my guess. Faceoff will come just across the blue line as Whitney's over having a little cry with referee Gordon, not doing him a whole lot of good. Americans getting their 5th power play of the night underway right now. Speaking of power plays, I saw Brian Sakic in the concourse during intermission. He was either talking or eating something, so I think he's probably not as bad off as Either that or he was just exercising the little elastic bands in his mouth. He seems to be...
I know I've seen something down in the locker room that they may put over his face.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Here comes Jakes out the right side to Nibbs. Nibbs breaking up the middle. Calvin Nibbs. And offside called against the Americans. Oh, what a rush by Calvin Nibbs. He had a lane, hit the Jets. And I don't know who went offside. I thought he was the first guy across.
It was either Kyle Reeves or Stewie Barnes as they were coming down on the left-hand side. Both of them trying to get in about the same time as Nibbs was. Boy, Nibbs sure did. He had a wide open lane all the way into Ferguson on the glove side. Offsides bring it back out of the Spokane zone for the face-off.
Minute 46 remaining in the penalty to Bobby House. House from Whitehorse to Yukon. He's a 16-year-old. Boy, what a youth movement in Spokane.
Oh, that's no doubt about it, Kirk. This is the team to watch next year. You watch and see.
House is 16. Junker is 17. Whitney is 17. Falloon is 17. Vanderkrack is 16. Jickling is 16. Saharchuk is 17. Not bad. Seeker is 16. Puck out into the neutral zone. Sean Dietrich, the goaltender of the future, is 17. Puck shot out into the neutral zone, back into the Spokane zone. Klemm tees it up, rips it the length of the ice. Blishen will play it for Jakes. 7:28 to go in the hockey game. Minute 15 left in the power play. Reeves, breakaway pass. Reeves can't get a shot away as he's tied up by Klemm. Leaves the puck beside the net. Falloon under pressure from Nibbs. Nibbs wipes out. Puck shot the length of the ice, back into the Tri-City zone. Out to Barnes. Barnes with it. 7 minutes to go. To Spenrath. 55 seconds left in the penalty. Spenrath breaks in. Spenrath going in with a guard from Jakes.
Oh.
Jakes' high stick right in the chops. And a penalty coming.
Delayed.
As Blishen will leave. Now the Chiefs will corral the puck. Jakes is back up. Cross-checking will be the call.
Against Frank Evans, number 3 for the Spokane Chiefs as he cross-checks Steve Jakes down low in the left circle. Sent Jakes down to the ice right at the hash marks. Frank Evans turns around and goes in, and he says he's not done. He goes in and starts slashing at a couple more Americans. And now they put him in the box. And another power play, a 5-on-3 opportunity now for the Tri-City Americans.
40 seconds remaining in the 5-on-3. 6:49 remaining in the hockey game. Remember, off the top of the post-game show, we'll introduce the winner of the Ask the Coach drawing that was held by Ben Franklin Transit. That's been a fun show to do this year, Tony. You know, the fans have asked some really great questions, and I think all in all gotten some excellent responses from the coaching staff. Barnes' is shot way up over the net. Comes off the glass to Farrell at the right point. Farrell will take a rip. Redirected by Degner. Degner can't get to the backhand. Throws it out front to McNutt. Whitney ties up McNutt. Farrell with it. Shoots it down low again. Loose puck. Degner taken off his feet, and they'll stop the play. Boy, Degner has just taken a beating down there tonight from Barry Dreger.
No doubt about it, as Terry Degner down in there in the slot area, acting like the big man right now in the power play, trying to set camp up. But Barry Dreger doing his job, pushing him out, uprooting him, and uprooting him a couple of times as he pushed him back into the boards one time. Right there, he dumped him down in the slot. The Americans' power play working hard, but still no go in that department tonight.
5-on-3 with 20 seconds left. In the 5-on-3, McNutt, Degner. Degner skated off of it, and the Chiefs get rid of it. Back into the Tri-City zone. 12 seconds left. Blishen plays it out to Farrell. Farrell at his own blue line. Up the right wing, finds Lindsay. Lindsay gets around Dreger. Lindsay in the corner. Lindsay wiped out. In the corner, comes off to McNutt. Lindsay back on his feet. McNutt and Lindsay. Now Nutter has it. Out to Farrell. 5-on-3's over. Farrell goes left to Barnes. Barnes works in. Barnes shoots for the long side, and it's knocked away by Ferguson. Barnes was right on the doorstep. To Farrell. Farrell goes left, finds Degner. Degner left, Barnes. Barnes rotates up. Goes left now to Degner. Chiefs have it. Degner tying up House, and House, or the puck is fired the length of the ice back into the Tri-City zone. Minute to go on the power play. Americans 0 for 5. This will come off the wall. Whoop, Mike Chrun got to it. Now taken away from him by Rennie. Rennie back to Barnes. Barnes goes right, finds Farrell. Farrell ripping it into the Spokane zone. Ferguson will leave it beside the net. In traffic. McNutt jumps in there. Can't get it done. Back to the neutral zone. Farrell goes back for it. Scotty Farrell. Farrell up the right wing. Shoots it in beside the net. Ferguson. Ferguson leaves it to Lafreniere. Shot back out, hit the linesman. Back into the neutral zone. Jakes has it off the wall for Barnes. Back into the Spokane zone. Lafreniere to Dumas. Dumas up the wall to Chrun. Fired back into the Tri-City zone again. Blishen. 1 second left in the power play. Americans 0 for 6 with a man advantage. Now Spenrath up the left wing. Dumps it in right of the Spokane net into the corner. Rennie goes in with Shayne Seeker. Under 5 minutes to play. 5-3 Tri-Cities out to the neutral zone. Jakes slaps it right back. Chiefs, Toporowski brings it up into the neutral zone again. Fires it in right of the Tri-Cities net. This time Jakes will have it. Jakes for the Americans turns. Pulls up, makes the pass out to Reeves. Loose puck. Shot by Dreger. Scored! Barry Dreger. I think that may have been redirected up front by Patty Falloon, but the Spokane Chiefs make it a 1-goal game one more time.
I think what you're going to end up seeing, Kirk, is that was a blistering slap shot low to the ice from the left point, or actually just inside the left point. Barry Dreger will get credited with that goal as it went the whole length of the zone, went right between the pads, screened obviously was Donnie Blishen, and it nestled back behind in the twine, lit the lamp up. Spokane is crawling back. They're within 1 now. It's the Americans 5, Spokane 4.
Yep, Dreger unassisted will be the call. Whitney and McNutt on the face-off. Jakes has the puck, fires it into the Spokane zone. Ferguson leaving it behind the net. Under pressure, Dreger along the wall. Loose puck picked up by Degner to Lindsay. McNutt a shot! Save Ferguson. It was partially deflected up front. Played back down behind the net. Degner being tied up. He can't get to Ferguson. Chiefs have it as they bring it out. Whitney in front of the net. Backhands it into the neutral zone for Seeker. Jakes back for it. Steve Jakes bounces it off the wall for McNutt. Or for Lindsay. Lindsay leaving it for McNutt. Chiefs turn, steer it into the Tri-City zone, but McNutt is there. McNutt bouncing it off the wall to Degner. Now Sherstenka with it. Goes right to Lindsay. Lindsay across the blue line finds McNutt on the doorstep. McNutt has crashed into the net, and we get a whistle.
And Ferguson wants to come out and say a couple of words, saying, stay away from my area.
Yeah, well, I don't think McNutt had a whole lot of
options there.
No. I think this will go against the Spokane Chiefs. It will be Chris Lafreniere.
7th power play of the night for the Tri-City Americans. Again, they are held without a goal in that department. Spokane's penalty killing unit has been fabulous tonight, but you got to give a lot of credit to the man between the pipes, number 37, Jeff Ferguson. Quite an evening once again for him. He's come back since that injury mid-season.
Yeah, he certainly has. Power play number 8 for the Chiefs. Lafreniere goes for slashing. All right. And the faceoff will come just outside the Spokane blue line. Barnes and Mark Woolf on the faceoff. Dumas with it as Woolf wins the draw. Fired into the Tri-City zone. Blishen will leave it for Dan Sherstenka. Dan Sherstenka back behind the net. He'll start out, goes left to Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs through the middle, intended for Jakes. Jakes will chase it across the blue line. Jakes wheels in, whips around behind the net. Jakes will throw it out front to Barnes now. Barnes in the left point. Barnes goes down low, back to Jakes. Jakes a quick shot, hits Mark Wolf in the stick. Jakes goes left, Sherstenka. Right now to Nibbs, left Barnes. Barnes in the left circle. Stu Barnes back up to Dan Sherstenka. Sherstenka trying to step around Chrun, he's tied up. Chrun gets to the puck, but Nibbs is there to save it. Back in behind the net. Ferguson firing out along the wall, but it gets Nibbs. Chrun now it's kept in play by Sherstenka. Back to Nibbs. Nibbs goes low to Rennie. Rennie with it. Minute 6 to go on the power play. Rennie with it in the left circle. Back to Calvin Nibbs at the hash mark. Nibbs at the left hash mark. Back up front now, Sherstenka. Dan Sherstenka left. Jakes a one-timer save, Ferguson. And Ferguson comes out to dive on the puck. 2:18 to go in the hockey game. Faceoff will come in the left circle. Spokane zone. It'll be Steve McNutt and Mark Woolf on the faceoff. Puck is down. Woolf wins the draw. Dreger behind the net. 2:15 to go in the hockey game. Americans lead 5-4. Power play, Tri-Cities. Virtue with it. Goes left to Degner. Degner along the wall. Leaves it for Lindsay. Lindsay down low to McNutt. Being worked over by Toporowski. Finally upended by Toporowski, and the puck is shot out of play. Steve McNutt kind of wondering what exactly it would take to get a whistle there on the play, but then can't have everything. Minute 58 to go in the hockey game. Americans leading the Spokane Chiefs 5-4. Faceoff will come in the left circle. Spokane zone. Tony Otts on his way now to the Founders Club. So we get ready for the post-game show. McNutt and Whitney on the draw. McNutt wins it up to Virtue. Virtue goes right. Farrell one-timer hit a body. Back across the blue line, Virtue. Virtue shoots it back in to the Spokane zone. Dreger with it. McNutt comes out on him. Puck shot out to the neutral zone. Farrell will have it. Plays it to Bill Lindsay. Lindsay goes left. Degner in along the wall. Back to Lindsay. Lindsay left with McNutt. Shot. Save. McNutt can't get to it as he's tied up by Toporowski. Now Falloon wheels. Patty Falloon brings it up the middle. Swept away from him by Degner. Kept by Virtue. Power plays over. Virtue for Lindsay. Lindsay wheels in, but Ferguson will come out and bat it away from him. Now Klemm along the wall. Back to the neutral zone. Virtue. Virtue tees up, fires it back into the Spokane zone. 5-4, Americans lead. Blishen in goal for the Americans for the second half of the game. Jakes to Barnes. Back to the red line, Spokane. Junker tries to carry it in. Poke checked away by Sherstenka. Off the wall now. It comes down to Lindsay. Lindsay and Barnes. Barnes to the right side. Barnes pulls up at the blue line. Goes left for Dan Sherstenka. Sherstenka from the left point. Sherstenka goes right again to Barnes. Barnes, a quick shot. Hits Lindsay in the under the arm, and it'll come down to the Spokane Chiefs. 41 seconds to go. Barnes stealing it away from Woolf. Puck shot back, but Barnes has it again. Away from House, through the middle to Reeves. Reeves and Spinrath break in, 2-on-3. Reeves looking at a shot, fakes it. Reeves hauled down beside the net and jumped on by Dumas. Thrown out in the slot. Spinrath a shot, no. Reeves goes after the puck, 20 seconds. Reeves from the right side, backhand, can't do it. Reeves gets it right back. Reeves hauled down again. That's 3 times. Spinrath, referee Gordon looking at the clock, and now he'll stop the play. You got to wonder. I mean, Gordon obviously wants this thing over with. 8 seconds remaining in the hockey game. Greg Spinrath has won both the fights tonight in fine form. Faceoff will come in the Spokane zone, right circle. Tri-City Americans ending their regular season on a winning note, going into the playoffs against the Seattle Thunderbirds. Ticketmaster is handling Thunderbird tickets in Seattle. We understand the Saturday evening game is sold out. The Sunday afternoon game, though, may not be. That's also in the Seattle Center Coliseum. 8 seconds remaining. Chiefs can't even pull Ferguson because all the play has been in the Spokane zone. Spinrath moving Reeves around. Now Barnes will take the face-off with Jickling. Barnes wins it, shoots it toward the net. 5 seconds remaining. Chiefs up the wall, Rowland. Rowland through the middle. Misses everybody, and time runs out in the hockey game. And the final score, as the Tri-City Americans defeat the Spokane Chiefs 5-4 into the playoffs on a winning note. Stay tuned for the post-game show coming up.
In the Founders Club, and joining me up here on stage is Tri-City Americans netminder Olaf Kolzig. Great game tonight for Ole the goalie. Ole, of course, playing the first half. It was a coaching decision tonight to get both netminders some action. Donnie Blishen coming in the second part of the contest tonight, doing a super job keeping the puck out of the net. Of course, the first half of the game, Ole Kolzig, he did a great job as well. Ole, congratulations on the victory tonight. I know that Donnie probably picks it up in the standings. And as far as your career, I know this is one of the sadder moments of the Tri-City Americans hockey organization is the chances are you're not going to be back for regular season action next year because you're going to be hopefully up with the Washington Capitals, right?
Well, hopefully I'll be in Washington, but that's why Rick played me tonight as well as Donnie because, you know, it was my last regular season game. It was probably as a Tri-City American, and he wanted to, you know, he wanted me to get some ice time in there.
All right. I tell you, Ole, you did a super job this season, going 21-17-3. Came back from your time over there in Washington, did a lot of things this last year. Went, of course, off to Russia, learned some valuable experience back there. Kind of look back, reflect a little bit, if you will, with us, and tell us about your season this year as the Tri-City American.
Well, it was a bit of a shaky season. You know, I came back and we went on our Eastern Road swing, and you know, I did fairly well out there. I won 3 games, and you know, I should have won more than that, but I was happy with the way I was playing because it was on the road. And then I came back and I was struggling a bit at home, and you know, Christmas came, and that's the break I needed. You know, I didn't have a rest all summer last year. I was always on the ice, and that 1 week at Christmas really helped me out. And you know, I came back, you know, hoping to play a stronger second half, and I think I did. And you know, I got a lot of confidence now going into the playoffs. You know, especially with our team the way they've been playing. And, you know, I guess the highlights this year, scoring my goal. That was
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, but the biggest highlight was probably that shutout against Seattle here at home. And the way the team stuck together during that incident at Christmas, that was probably one of the bigger highlights. I didn't know a bunch of, you know, 21 guys, hockey players could stick together so well, and I was really proud of that moment.
Something that you'll always carry with you the rest of your life, obviously, and a lot of friendships, a lot of things developed during the course of one season. You guys are in the bus a lot. You guys are really living together for a period of 8 months, and now the playoffs are starting up. Certain things now change a little bit as far as you get into 5 games, and it could be your last one. This is the kind of thing where you guys really have to buckle down, play some solid hockey, and go into Seattle and really take it to them. You've got to come away from Seattle with a victory, don't you?
Oh, for sure. You know, that's why we were kind of hoping we'd get on a roll going into the playoffs. You know, we didn't play our best hockey of the year tonight, but a win's a win, and it was 2 wins in a row now going into the playoffs. And that's our big challenge of the year right now is to take a win out of Seattle because we know we can beat them here at home. And, you know, I think only maybe 2 or 3 teams, maybe 2 teams only have beat them in Seattle. And, you know, playing in front of 12,000 people, you know, they're going to be pumped up, and it's going to be a dogfight.
No doubt about it, especially in Seattle. 12,000 plus fans playing at the Coliseum. Had a chance to talk earlier with Devin Derksen a little bit, and he was telling me that Seattle has a little problem playing in that older Coliseum. It's different boards, it's a different ice surface. It could be the advantage of the Americans up there.
Well, the new rink is, the Coliseum is, you know, the size of our rink. The ice surface is big, the ice is pretty good, and the boards are, you know, regular boards, whereas the arena, you know, the boards are a lot higher, and the square boards, and you know, we're a freewheeling skating team, and they can't trap us in the corners as well as they could if we played in the arena. So, you know, as long as the goaltending's good, I think we'll do okay there.
Peter Nedved, of course, has been the hot hand for the Seattle T-Birds. He's quite a skater, quite a player. Obviously, the choice for Rookie of the Year if they go ahead and do their voting today. Probably in the first couple of picks in the draft coming up in June. How are you going to stop this guy?
Well, you know, he hasn't really given us that much trouble this year, goal-scoring wise. I mean, he's set up a lot of plays, but I guess what we got to do is we got to cut off his passes to whoever he's playing with. You know, somebody always shadowing him so that he doesn't get free. But you know, as long as we control the passes to the people that he's going to, I think we'll do okay. You know, if he takes a far out shot, you know, past the blue or past the circles, I think I can handle it. And you know, as long as the defense clears all the rebounds, I don't think he'll give us too much trouble.
One last question before I let you go and down to your team meeting is that Donnie Blishen, obviously the heir to the throne, be back next year. Donnie Blishen having a super year himself this year. What piece of advice do you leave Donnie Blishen with during the regular season now, as he looks forward to a season next year where he'll probably be the main man?
Well, you know, with Donnie, he's got to play with a lot of confidence, because once he has a lot of confidence, you know, you can see what he does. Played great in Portland, played great tonight, and, you know, played great against Portland when he got hurt. I guess the thing is, you know, don't assume you're number one, because that's what I assumed when I came here this year, that I was number one, and Donnie gave me a heck of a fight, and, you know, it could be a toss-up to decide whoever was number one this year, and, you know, as long as he keeps a level head next year, plays hard with a lot of confidence, and, you know, plays the way, you know, he's played the end of this year, you know, he'll definitely be the number one goaltender next year and be a great goaltender in this league.
No doubt about it, Donnie Blishen. Ole, congratulations on a terrific season. Playoff time now, and hopefully we'll just continue this conversation through May. How's that?
All right, thanks a lot, Tony.
All right, Ole Kolzig, ladies and gentlemen. He basically will finish up his career, as we all probably expect him to take off and go to the National League next year. Ole Kolzig finishes up 21-17-3 this season here at the Tri-Cities, and the Tri-City Americans also finish up. They go 39-28-5 on the season by beating the Spokane Chiefs tonight by a score of 5-4. We'll return in just a moment here in the Founders Club on the postgame show. Here live once again in the Founders Club. We just got some information courtesy of Al Patterson, general manager of the Tri-City Americans. And Greg, this is real interesting. A final score tonight. Brandon has defeated Regina 5-4, which means now in the Eastern Division, this sets up the playoff between Swift Current and Brandon tomorrow in Swift Current for that 6th and final playoff position. Interesting stuff going on over there in the Eastern Division. Now joining me up here on center stage, Greg Spenrath, who played his final Western Hockey League regular season game tonight here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum, picking up 2 assists in a winning effort for the Tri-City Americans. Greg, congratulations. Greg, being the overager, this is it for you. This is your last regular season game. Some pretty impressive stats throughout your career. I'm going to dig those up here in just a second. I know I copied them all down for you tonight so we could have a chance to talk. But, of course, Greg, tonight, the Spokane Chiefs, they came in, they played, they came out. They wanted to play some hockey in that first period, didn't they? They jumped out to that 2-goal lead, and then you guys had to come back and pop 3 in before the end of the period.
Well, yeah, they wanted to come out and play well. You know, they're going up to Kamloops. I think they're leaving right after the game, and you know they want to have a good finish with tried for a road victory, and they came out hard and they played well. But you know, we gathered together and took it to them after a bad first 10 minutes and came back and we won the game.
Greg Spenrath, ladies and gentlemen, has 203 games under his belt. He's got 80 goals, 92 assists, 172 career total points. Don't have the penalties and minutes tonight on you, Greg, but coming into tonight's contest, 663. Not a bad career in the WHL, Greg. Super career, actually, and also an 8th-round draft pick by the New York Rangers. Greg, getting ready for the playoffs now, and then after that, it's really shaping up to go into the New York Ranger organization, isn't it?
Well, you know, they're coming down to Seattle and into Tri-Cities to come and watch some of the games and see how I've progressed, and you know, after the playoffs this year, hopefully we'll go for a long way. It'll only help my chances better next year, and you know, next year I just gotta bear down, work hard in the summer, and go into camp ready to play and do the things that I do right, and hopefully impress them enough for them to give me a contract and a chance to play.
A couple of little scraps tonight that you got into. The final one that you did was obviously because you were wearing the badge tonight, as one of the Americans was taken down at the blue line. And you decided that you've seen enough and you just wanted to go after Dreger there, didn't you?
Well, the play happened. Kyle Reeves got slashed in the back, and you know, Kyle's not a aggressive player, and you know, you can't let their team badger our smaller scorers. And I turned around and there was 3 players there. I don't know which one did it, and I just thought it was my job to you know, put them in line and show them that we're not going to be pushed around. And a little altercation took place, and we had some fun.
That's right. You definitely had some fun. Pushing them back into the Spokane bench, when you get going back there, does that get to be a problem? Obviously, you're not thinking about it too much, but I'm sure the other players are thinking about it a little bit as far as watching the sticks come from the other side, and you're being pushed into that bench. I saw Coach Kerry Braun be pushed.
Well, I was worried about their extra players from their team coming into it, but you know, their coach held their players back, knowing that they'd get severely punished by the referee if they did get in it, and you know, they let us get into altercation, but I don't know how the referee can call one person getting in a fight and the other one not. Well, I think I got burnt on the call, but you know, the game, what happened, you know, can't do nothing about it now.
Well, the game's over, and finally, the Americans did put the 2 points in their pocket tonight. Greg, you finish up this evening now with the season with 36 goals, 33 assists, 69 points. You feel like you had a good year this year?
I came back and I started slow, but as the year went on, I realized what my job was and tried to play my role to the best I could, and I felt that I'm satisfied with my season.
Talk a little bit about the Seattle Thunderbirds coming up on Saturday. What do you expect out of this series?
It's going to be a hard-fought series. You know, they've got little guys on forwards that are fast and quick, and bigger defensemen that are slow. And our game is to get in the corners deep and hit them hard and take it to their defensemen. But you know, we'll come out on top if we let their forwards get all the ice time, like all the open ice and fast-moving pace. It's going to be a little tougher on us. But we think we got the team to do it, and we're going to go out there and try our hardest and take it to them.
Do you have a good career? Do you have fun?
Yeah, it's great.
All right. I know it's tough. It's the final regular season game. But again, the playoffs are now here, and we've got till May to get it all done.
Trying to make me cry here?
No, that's all right, buddy. I understand. It's a sad moment for the veterans because it's their final regular season game, and it is the second part of this, the playoffs. But we all know that the Tri-City Americans are going to be there, and they're going to do some stuff to Seattle, and we'll see you guys back here for the Western Division Championships as well. Isn't that right, Greg?
Sure thing.
All right, there it is. You heard it from Greg right there. Greg Spenrath, ladies and gentlemen. Terrific career in the WHL, and a super guy as well. We'll take the time out right now. We'll come back. We'll talk with the coaches tonight. We're continuing in the postgame. The Americans won it 5-4 over the Spokane Chiefs. All right, we're back here live once again in the Founders Club. Now joining me up here on stage in the postgame show, Tri-City Americans assistant coach Gerry Johannson. And coach, great game tonight. Finishes out the season. The Americans are now 39, 28-5. But that all now goes backwards. It's no longer a part of anything. The real season starts up, and it's Saturday against the Seattle T-Birds, who, by the way, just got this in, took it a loss tonight to the Portland Winterhawks by a score of 6-5. So the T-Birds, they kind of stumbled a little bit. They've lost now 2 this week out of the 3 they've played. 1 to Spokane and now 1 to Portland. They may be thinking a little bit too far past and thinking about the Americans a little bit.
Well, that is good news to hear. One thing going into tonight's game, we wanted to finish on a strong note. You don't want to go into a 9-game series, you know, on a sour note and you know, possibly sacrifice the first game of the series because you're on a bit of a downswing. So hopefully that's happening to Seattle. It was a good season. You know, we have to look. Hopefully Seattle. You know, this is a bit of a trend. They've been winning the last. This month in February, they've been on a bit of a tear, and they haven't really faltered. So it's unlikely in this league that any team can continue a winning streak for any length of time, you know, especially past 2 months. So hopefully we can catch them in a bit of a downswing and jump on them. And we need 1 win in Seattle, and probably the first game will be our best chance.
That is so important because what that does is with that win, it not only gives the Tri-City Americans a little bit of steam, but it also brings back the home ice advantage and how critical that is, especially in a 9-game series and especially against a team such as the T-Birds.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you have to win at least 1 game in the other guy's building. And with Seattle, they're a team that if they get some momentum and they get their scores scoring and they get a bit of on a bit of a roll, they're going to be hard to stop. We've faced them in that situation a couple times this season, and they're just super talented and they're really hard to control. So we're hoping we can jump on them early, steal a game from them. They don't play that well on the road, and hopefully that'll be to our advantage.
Well, I know that the Tri-City Americans have a tough time playing up there, but they're going to be playing up in the Coliseum. A little bit of an advantage, bigger ice surface, give a chance to the guys to get skating around a little bit.
Yeah, the bigger ice surface I don't think will hurt us. It's a little more what we're used to. Although for them it's probably a bit of an advantage too. They have smaller forwards that can really wheel, so they get on the big ice and they can get their power play working and get everybody stretched out, use the ice. It'll probably work to their advantage, but I don't see that being to our disadvantage at all. On the other hand, like I say, it's more to what we're used to, and we've got some guys that can go, Kyle Reeves and Stu Barnes, give them a bit of room to skate, and they can make things happen.
Gerry, I'm going to put you on the spot here right now because that's my job to do that. And I'm going to ask you a question about Coach Kozuback, the guy that's in charge of this team. He just finished out his rookie season. Greatest performance. What do you think?
Want me to grade his performance?
Yeah? I'm putting you on the spot on this one because I know he's probably watching.
I'm glad you asked this question because he's done a fantastic job this season. It's always tough when you come into a hockey club and your first season. You've got a lot of players that aren't really your players. Somebody else recruited them. Somebody else has been working with them for the past year or past 2 years. And that was Rick's situation coming into the Tri-Cities, and he was exceptional. I mean, the guys like him, the guys play for him, the guys respect him, as you saw around Christmas time when we had a little bit of a problem. That just doesn't happen, all the time. So I think he definitely earned the respect of the guys, which is number one. And now he's got the experience. We know that he's won in playoffs before, so that sort of gives us an added spark, a little bit of little glow of hope there, knowing that he's been there before. He's won a championship, which is no easy thing to do, and some of our guys haven't. So a lot of our guys hopefully will be leaning on Rick to carry us right through the playoffs.
The Tri-City Americans have roughly 150 plus odd games of playoff experience. The Netminders have 10 games playoff experience between Donnie Blishen and Olaf Kolzig. Still quite a bit of experience out there as far as the guys in front. I know that Sakic, he's had 21 games of experience. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to participate in at least the first couple. Depending on, of course, how the injury comes about, he may be seeing some action later on. Again, that's very questionable, and we don't want to get anybody's hopes up on that. But the other part about it is that you've got some leaders that have seen quite a bit. Scott Farrell has seen 15 games of experience. Nibbs and Rennie and Barnes, they've seen 12 games apiece in the playoffs. You got to look to these guys right now as far as the leadership that they've been providing not only during the regular season but now going into the playoffs.
Well, that's right. It's a fine line between winning and losing especially in a 9-game series. There'd be so many opportunities where we just need one play could win the game for you, and it might be a back check. It might be something that most people wouldn't notice, and that's when you have to call upon your experienced players. And you've done your homework. You've mentioned some of our more experienced guys like Sakic and Reeves who've gone all the way, which is an unbelievable accomplishment. We have some other guys too that like McNutt and Rennie and Nibbs who have had a few games, playoff games experience, but they've got something to prove to themselves. They've been in the organization for 2, 3, 4 years. And, I think they realize that this is a good opportunity for them and, one that might not come around too often. So hopefully if we can get, that crew of guys, probably 6 deep, getting their sights set on probably winning, going for it, I think it'll help a lot.
Gerry, you had your time in the WHL as well, and you remember this day, the last day of your regular season career. Tell me what you think is going on right now through the minds of Steve J, Greg Spenrath, a lot of the veterans right now.
Well, it's really, there's not really much to think about. It seems like the next day is the most important thing. You don't really think much past that. In playoffs, it can end any time, and you're sort of always on the edge. So I think it's you try to stay positive, and it's sort of a bit of excitement involved too, because you've got the opportunity and you have a chance to, to do something, that not many other people, have a chance to do, and that's win a championship. So I think they're a little bit excited. They probably have a little trouble sleeping at night, but I think they're ready for it.
All right, Gerry, I know that the team meeting is going to be taking place here in just a sec, so we'll let you go. A great season. Again, the Tri-City Americans come off and they improved dramatically, nearly 6 games over last year, 39, 28, and 5 for 83 points. 2 terrific teams ahead of them, Seattle and Kamloops. Otherwise, the Tri-City Americans, a lot predicted would be 80 points would be a championship this year in the West. So again, the division is very competitive, and of course on Saturday begins the second part of this season, the real important part, and that's the playoffs. Congratulations on a great season,
Yeah,
Gerry.
thanks, Tony.
All right, Gerry Johannson, assistant coach of the Tri-City Americans. We'll go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. Again, the final score of the Tri-City Americans in their regular season action with a victory, 5-4 over the Spokane Chiefs. A big win for the Americans as they now take off for the playoffs. And that, of course, is on Saturday. And you can hear all the action here on KTCR AM 1340. We go on the air at 7:05. Kirk Williamson will be calling all the action for all the playoffs as far as the Americans go. So make sure that you tune in for that here on AM 1340. Again, we thank the fine folks at Columbia Cable. Super job of bringing the live telecast tonight to all you fans throughout the area. And again, to all our listeners on AM 1340.
Hey, don't forget Tony.
Yes, Kirk, and what else?
You look so good over there. You can't forget to say thanks once again to the good folks at Mr. Tux.
That's exactly right. And thanks to the fine folks at Mr. Tux for supplying the dinner jackets to Kirk Williamson and myself. Super stuff. We sure like them. And Kirk, can't wait to see you in another one of these things, all right?
Well, you just have to hold your breath another year.
All right, good enough. All right, again, the final score tonight. The Tri-City Americans defeat the Spokane Chiefs 5-4 for Kirk Williamson, Columbia Cable. Super job you guys did. I'm Tony Ott. Thanks once again for listening, and good night.
Yo.